This Azure Data Factory Pro course is specially made to make you a pro Azure Data Factory developer, because this is a complete guide to build the industry level pipelines from scratch, including modern way of incrementally loading the data, capturing change data capture with JSONs, applying backdated refresh parameters, fetching data from APIs, applying pagination rules to the dynamic APIs, creating logic apps for alerts and failures, creating routers pipelines for parallel ingestion, working with schedule and event based triggers, creating dynamic mappings for array attributes, and finally pushing our code to GitHub using CI/CD Git branches. But why should you watch this video? Because if you want to level up your Azure Data Factory skills and want to build the real industry level pipelines and want to crack multiple Azure Data Engineering offer letters in 2025. And what are the prerequisites for this video? If you have some basic understanding about Azure Data Factory, or if you have watched my Azure Data Factory full course in the past, or let's say if you are totally a beginner, this video is for you, because obviously we will be just covering amazing real-time scenarios but from scratch. And by the end of this video, your confidence with Azure Data Factory will be 10x and your skills will be 20x, and I mean it. And you know what? I have referred to so many resources and I have literally put so much of efforts to complete this video. So your one like and comment actually means a lot to me. And just hit that subscribe button so that you will be receiving all these insightful videos in future as well. So let's get started with this amazing Azure Data Factory Pro course. So what's up my fam? Today's video is so special, especially on your request. So basically, as you have already watched the introduction, the agenda of this video is very clear: to make you a pro data factory developer. I know you would have already watched so many tutorials, including mine as well, that I have created, like Azure Data Factory full course. So that is good for your fundamental understanding. That is very good for you to just gain the real hands-on, to understand the concepts. But what after that? You need to understand how you can just create the real world pipelines that are actually built in the real world, plus which are actually being asked in the interviews as well. So as you can see, Azure Data Factory, the pro guide with CI/CD, in this particular course, you will learn almost everything that you need in 2025 plus in 2026. Yes, in 2026 as well. So by the end of this video, you will be able to build some amazing pipelines like this, like this, like this, like this, like this. Basically, the thing is, all these pipelines are first of all dynamic. All these pipelines are first of all parameterized. All these pipelines are production ready pipelines, not just static basic pipelines. And you will understand each and everything from scratch. That is the best thing. And not only this, I know you are a very, you can say, inclined towards deployment CI/CD as well. So we will be just deploying our whole project in the GitHub so that you can just showcase this project. It's not basically a project, but yeah, there are like so many pipelines that you can just showcase in GitHub to get highlighted in your interviews, and obviously to just showcase these things in your resume as well. So are you excited to get started with this? Because I am really excited, because this video gonna be very interesting, full of challenges, full of real world scenarios, and full of real world pipelines that you build. That is why it is called Azure Data Factory Pro Guide or Pro course. What are the prerequisites? See, if you have some basic understanding, very basic understanding about Azure Data Factory, this course is for you. If you have already watched my Azure Data Factory full course video in the past, then I think this is the go-to video for you. But even if you haven't watched that video, and if you have just basic understanding, basic means very basic. If you just know, let's say, what is Azure Data Factory, what are link services and all, you will be able to do that. Even if you do not have that particular understanding, this video is for you, trust me. Because yes, there are so many advanced concepts, but understanding will be so much clear. So without wasting any time, let's get started with our amazing video. So now let's quickly start with our resource collection, or basically you can say you need to just set up your environment, right? So whatever resources you're building will be purely based on cloud, which is Azure, as you know. Okay, yes, we'll be just using some external sources as well to fetch the data, but for the processing unit, you just need Azure resources. Make sense? So obviously you would need Azure account, and I hope that you would already have an Azure account if you are an active Azure learner. If you do not have the account, then I would say simply go to let's say Azure free account. Just search this on Google or any other browser, and then you will click on the first link. Okay, and once you click on this link, okay, so now it will say try Azure for free, and the other option is pay as you go. So you can first of all try with this particular one, try Azure for free. This will give you the chance of using Azure services free for 30 days because you receive 200 US dollars. Once that particular period is over, then you have to switch to pay as you go. Now in some cases you will not be able to use try Azure for free because it totally depends upon Azure if they allow your account to be eligible for this thing. But even if you just want to go with this one, you can go with this one. It's totally up to you, whatever you want to pick. This is purely free and this is like pay as you go. Okay, so you have both the options, so now up to you, whatever you want to use. Steps are very simple. Simply click here, try Azure for free, and it will simply ask you to fill up a form. So steps are very simple. You simply need to click on the button which is try Azure for free, and this will open up this particular window. So now it will ask you to provide a Microsoft account. If you do not have any Microsoft account, you can simply click on create one. If you already have a Microsoft account, simply put that particular email account here. Once you put that email account here, it will simply ask you to fill that particular web form that you can just do, and immediately your Azure account will be created. Sorted. Now you will ask, okay, our Azure account is created, how we can just now log in into the Azure account? So you simply need to search portal.azure.com. Okay, the moment you hit enter, it will ask you to just put your email account, and then you need to just put the same email account that you have just created, and that's it. And now you will actually see the Azure portal, and I can just show you how it will look like. And it's very simple and a very quick, you can say, overview that I'm going to give you on Azure. Okay, so this is our Azure portal account, or basically you can say Azure portal, that you will also see in your screen. And obviously this is a pro level code, so I would assume that you would be familiar with at least some UI of Azure, but if not, don't need to worry. So this is basically the Azure services that you will see. In your case, it can be different. In my case, it is different. So it totally depends like what other services that you have used in the past. Okay, and by the way, Azure has added one more toggle here. If I click here, you will see so many services. So basically they have created a dedicated place for these services: Azure AI Foundry, Azure Copilot Studio, Data Explorer, Defender, DevOps, Entra, Fabric, GitHub, yes, GitHub, even GitHub. And the best thing is VS Code as well. So Visual Studio Code can now be accessed on the cloud as well, directly on the cloud. You do not need to install any kind of VS Code on your machine. It's amazing. This is an amazing thing. You can just access your VS Code from anywhere. And in order to use VS Code on Azure, I'm also just trying to see like how we can just start with it. I didn't get enough time to just look into it. I think we need to attach this VS Code with this GitHub, and then we can just store all the files there, because obviously in VS Code we need to open a folder, right? So that is the thing. You can also explore if you want. Okay, so this is our Azure, and the first thing that we'll be creating in Azure is the resource group, because resource group is something that we use to put all of our resources. If we create, let's say, Data Factory, storage account, and we'll also be creating, you can say, SQL databases, because we will be just learning the real world stuff that we create, or that basically we build in the real world, right? So don't need to worry. First of all, let's start with our, you can say, environment setup. And once we have that, then we will just go to scenarios, or you can say pipelines, real world pipelines, one by one. Okay, so let's go to resource groups and let's create a new one. So I will simply call it as Data Factory Pro. Okay, then say review plus create, and then just create. Perfect. So this is created. I can just search it here as well. I can refresh it, and then DF Pro. Where is DF Pro? I think it will take some time just to be here. I need to refresh multiple times. Yeah, now it is here. So yeah, DF Pro is here. So in this particular resource group, we do not have anything, obviously. So first of all, let's create our resource. The first resource that we want to create is storage account, because obviously we need a cloud data lake to store our services. So simply search storage account. Okay, perfect. So now you need to pick the service from Microsoft. Click here, click on create, and then let's pick the storage account name. I will simply say DF Pro storage if it is available. Oh yeah, I think it is available. Perfect. Preferred storage type, we will be simply keeping it as blob storage or data lake storage gen 2. Standard is fine. Redundancy will keep as LRS because we do not want to just keep, you can say, duplicate copies in multiple regions or anywhere else. It is fine. We want to just simply keep the multiple copies within the same data center. So locally redundant storage is that. So let's simply click on next, and then you need to enable this thing, which is hierarchical namespace. This is basically the feature which will allow you to create hierarchical folders so that you can create directories within directories within directories. Okay, click on review plus create, and that's it. That's all. So let's click on create. Okay, now let's create our another source because it will be deployed in just few seconds. It's fine. Let's go to resource groups and select DF Pro, and here you will see that resource which is called storage account very soon because now it is being deployed. Let's create our second resource. It is called Data Factory, and in this particular Data Factory we will be building real world pipelines, real world. Okay, click on create, and let's name it as, let's say, DF Pro Data Factory. Okay, it is available. Perfect. Review plus create, then click on create. Perfect. So now it is creating our data factory. That is also good. That is also good. Okay. Oh, it is also created. Perfect. So we have our data factory, we have our storage account. Both the things are ready. The third thing that we need to create is we will be creating our SQL database. Okay. Let's create our SQL database. Yep, we have both the resources here, DF Pro DF Pro storage. Perfect. So let's create our database, because obviously in the real world we deal with databases a lot, because for data engineers, or let's say for anyone who is building data warehouse, we use databases as a source, right? So we have to just work with databases, and I'll be just showing you. Okay, I don't want to give you a spoiler. I will just show you the pipeline that we're gonna build. Okay, so just simply search SQL database. Perfect. And click here, click on create. So this is called create SQL database. And now it is saying estimated cost $372. Do not need to worry. We'll be simply reducing it because resource group is this one, enter database name. So we can simply call it as any database. Okay. And server, we need to just pick a server. So just click on create new. I'll simply say DF Pro server. Perfect. DF Pro server, and set Microsoft Entra admin. So currently no admin is selected, so I can simply click on set admin, and I can select my ID, which is Ansh Lamba, this one. So this will be the admin, and you need to set it, otherwise it will be just creating problems. Hey, you need to just use this ID as an admin, and you can also select here, use both SQL and Microsoft Entra authentication. So you will be having liberty to use your credentials, SQL credentials, plus your Microsoft account in order to go into the SQL database. And don't need to worry, after this particular pipeline, you'll be simply deleting that particular database so that you will not be charged, and don't need to worry about that. So first of all, let me just provide the username. I can simply say admin. Okay. Your login must not contain a SQL identifier or typical blah, blah, blah. Okay. I can simply say Ansh admin. Okay, Ansh admin. Password, let me just pick one. Okay, just pick any easy password because you will be just deleting this resource. Okay, simply say okay. So our server is ready. Server is basically the backbone. What is this? Database name. Yeah, we will be just providing it. So server is basically the backbone which will be running your code, right? And within that, we can just create a database. I can simply say DF Pro DB. DF Pro DB. Okay, let's keep it lowercase. DF Pro DB. Perfect. So now we can just configure this database. Okay, so currently the estimated cost is 372, but we will simply pick serverless, and now it is almost $5, and we will simply reduce the maximum V cores. We will simply say 1. Perfect. So now it is 4.78 USD per month. This is the storage cost. Okay, and compute cost is now very less. Makes sense? And it is like for a month. Okay, you can even just create this database today and you can delete it right away after completing this thing, and you will not be charged much. But yeah, this is the estimated cost that you should be aware of. Make sense? Okay, so now this is fine. Data maximum size, let me just reduce it to 1 GB because we do not have any kind of data. So now you can see that $5 is even reduced to 0.15 USD. So this is like very affordable thing that you can just do. Make sense? Because we do not have much data. Make sense? We do not have much data. So we can just start working with this one. Make sense? Okay. Makes sense. So now it is good. 0.15. Earlier it was like 400 USD. Okay. Click on apply. Makes sense. And we can simply say locally redundant and just click on next networking. This area is very important. You need to say connectivity method to public endpoint because you will be using your public endpoint to hit to this particular SQL database. Plus you need to say allow Azure services to use this particular resource. Plus you need to also add your current IP address, which is your this IP address, so that you can just add it there as well. Make sense? You do not need any kind of proxy. You do not need any kind of redirect. Just say next. And enable defender. No, we do not need any kind of defender, and everything else is good. You can simply even click on review plus create directly. Make sense? So click on create. So our database is also ready. It will take, I think, a few seconds to create it, but before that we have to just do a lot of things, so that is fine. Okay, so let's go to home and just go to resource group, and if I just open my resource group, I want to just open my data factory as a first thing. So let's open it and let's see what do we have inside this data factory. So as I just mentioned that this is a pro course, so as you would have seen in the introduction as well, that you would need to have some information, because obviously you'll be just covering a lot of stuff, but we cannot cover like some basic stuff like what is a linked service, what is a data set. You should know about all those things. And obviously if you do not know about all those things, you can just go on Google, just go on YouTube, just search Data Factory full course by Ansh Lamba, or basically just search Ansh Lamba like this. Let's say Azure Data Factory Ansh Lamba. Simply search like this. This is the video that you can just watch, and this is like from beginner to pro. Okay, and this is like 3.5 hours video, and in this particular video you will understand Azure Data Factory from basics. From basics means even if you do not have any kind of experience, if you, maybe you are from AWS background, maybe you are from GCP background, maybe you are from XYZ background, maybe you are not even from data engineering background. This video is like from very basics level. Even if you have just passed your 12th standard, this video is for you. And I'm not kidding. Okay, I'm not kidding. So just watch this video, just have some ground level understanding of Azure Data Factory, then just jump here. Okay, and even if you have not watched this video, if you feel comfortable that you have some understanding, it's good, because it's my responsibility to make you understand all the things in this particular video, and I will do that. So don't worry at all. So first of all, this is basically our lovely data factory, and I personally love this blue color. Okay, and let me just change this theme because blue is not matching with this brown color. What is this? Let me just do that. Appearances. Where is appearances? If I go here, customize, I want something blue. Blue. Yeah, this is good. This is better. Yeah, this is better. Okay, let's keep this one. This is much better. But I think I messed up with my, no, this is fine. Okay, so let's keep this one. This is much better. Blue. So this is our data factory. Okay, and this is our author tab, our favorite tab. So let's click here. So this is our canvas. Obviously canvas. You are a data engineer. That means you are an artist. You build the pipelines. Okay, you design the pipelines. You are an artist. So that is why it is called canvas. Okay, now let's click on the pipelines. Okay, and by the way, this feature is really amazing. Change data capture. This is still in preview, and I think this is in preview since so many years, but yeah, it is what it is. Then you have data flows, and you should know about data flows. We will be just covering some scenarios about data flows as well in this video because it is important. This is really important. Okay, not like data flow as a data flow, but what is that particular feature which makes your data factory development much more powerful? Okay, and Power Query, you will be saying, hey, Power Query is in Power BI, right? Why it is here? So basically, Data Factory has recently, not recently, but yeah, I would say more recently as compared to other features. So Power Query is a new feature in Data Factory where you can just transform your data using the same UI that you see in the Power BI. Oh, wow, this is so powerful. Obviously, because the learning curve is so simple for Power Query. Data flows is very easy, but Power Query is even more simpler, right? So cherry on the cake. Okay, nice. So let's click on pipelines and let's create our first pipeline and click on new pipeline. This is our canvas. Boom, boom, boom. So now let me just collapse these areas and let's call it as our ingestion. Okay, let's create our ingestion pipeline. So let's talk about our pipeline that we're gonna build. Okay, so basically we will be building so many pipelines, but we will be building, let's say, end-to-end pipelines. So number of pipelines will be less, but we'll be adding more and more challenges and complexities within those pipelines. Current challenges, we have, let's say, our source in the SQL database. It can be on-prem, it can be Azure, it can be anything. Why I picked Azure? Because it is easy to configure, but it is like the steps are very same when you just be dealing with any other database, SQL, MS SQL, Oracle, your MySQL, anything. Because the thing is, we are using SQL database as a source. Perfect. If you know little bit about source, so when we pick SQL database as a source, we store, I would say, billions of transactions, or let's say at least millions. If you are working in a small organization, millions. If you're working in a big organization, billions. So the number of transactions are so many, and it's huge. That's why it is called transactional database. So now if we are just building our data warehouse, let's say we are building our data warehouse, okay, obviously we need to perform ETL to load the data, right? So let's say this has 1 billion records. 1 billion for now. Okay, 1 billion. It makes sense that for the first time I'll be loading all the data. That makes sense. I am okay with that particular thing because this is like just one time thing. This is a kind of lift and shift. We are okay with that. Okay. But let's say on the next day, I got 10,000 records. Make sense? On the next day, 10,000 more records, because 1 billion records were like since the start of the organization. Make sense? Now I got 10,000 more records. Simple? Very good. Now just tell me one thing. Should I process 1 billion plus 10,000 records next time, or should I only process 10,000 records? Just tell me this thing. Ideally, if you are the owner and if you are paying from your own pocket, what will be your answer? You will say, obviously bro, 10,000 records, why I'll be just paying for 1 billion records if we already have this record? Obviously. That is why this is called incremental ingestion. So here we'll be just learning about incremental ingestion. But hold on. This is Ansh Lamba's YouTube channel. Okay. So what else you will learn rather than just learning about incremental ingestion? Because incremental ingestion is nowadays very common. Very common. But in this particular pipeline, we'll be building a pipeline which is a dynamic pipeline which will take care of backdated refresh as well. Boom. What is backdated refresh? So whenever you work in an organization in the real world, you build the pipelines which take care of all the scenarios. First of all, bulk load. Bulk load means all the data. So your pipeline will be taking care of this. Yes. Second thing is incremental load. Your pipeline is taking care of those things as well. Yes. But let's say due to any reason, your pipelines were failing for, let's say, at least a week. Or let's say your pipeline was silently failing for a few days in the past few months, and you didn't get to know about this. But after few months, let's say after 3 to 4 months, Your stakeholders are coming to you, hey bro. Obviously they will not say you bro, but yeah, hey, whatever your name is, your pipelines are running fine. You will say, yeah, obviously. But they are saying, hey, I am not able to see the right data. I am not able to just match the data from the source and the from to your destination. What is going on? Then you can just investigate further and you will get to know the pipeline was silently failing. What is like pipeline is silently failing? Maybe there was a network outage, maybe there was, you can say, a kind of IP address failure when it was just trying to hit that particular SQL database. It can be anything. Now what you will do, obviously your pipeline is just pulling the data on a daily basis, so obviously it can just only pull the data from the yesterday. If you need to just perform full load, you will be just loading all the records, 1 billion records. That is also not ideal. So here comes the concept of backdate refresh. So backdate refresh means we need to provide the liberty to the users where they can just provide a custom date. Let's say the date is 3 months before, okay, and now, like you can say current date minus date of 3 months ago, whatever date. Okay, let's say January 1st 2025, let's say 9 months from now. Okay, so now in this particular scenario you need to do something that it will only process the data after that date. So this is called backdate refresh. So you will learn this thing as well in this particular pipeline. Make sense? Make sense? Make sense? And if you are excited, just do let me know in the comment section so that I can just continue creating all these kinds of videos for you. Right? It is called feedback. Just provide that feedback in the comment section. There's a reason behind that comment section so that you can just write your comments, right? Use your common sense. So first of all, how we can just do that? So basically there is a whole architecture that we need to define. First of all, let's go back to our resource group and let's see where is our source. Okay, let me just refresh. Maybe it is still okay. This is deployed. Go to resource. Okay. Oh man, I just created this particular database in my other resource group and I don't know why I did that. Why? Let me just go to here, and by the way, it's not a big deal. Okay, this is my previous, you can say, resource group, and we can have our SQL database here. It's not a big deal. Okay, so it's fine even if you are if you have created your this particular, you can say, database server in your resource group, it's fine. Okay, makes sense. Very good. So I have created here, so it's not a big deal, so you can just ignore that. So what I'm gonna do, I will simply go to DF Pro DB. Okay, and I will simply click on query editor. Remember, not server, it's DB. Okay, query editor, and here I have two options to log in. First is email password, like whatever I have put. Second is my you can say enter ID. Click here. And if you see an error regarding, hey, you are not authorized to see, or your IP address is not authorized, that means you have skipped a step that I have just told you while configuring it. So just rewatch that part. Whatever configurations I have just done, you have to do the same stuff. Make sense? Good, sorted. So what I'm gonna do right now, I will simply create a source. Okay, and it will be a very common source, not a big deal. So for now we do not have anything, so let's create, you can say, a kind of schema, or let's say create schema, let's say source. Okay, so schema is created. If I refresh, obviously, like query editor is not a very good tool to work with. I always prefer working with MS SQL Server, but it's fine for now. So our source is completed. Now I'll be creating the table. Okay, what table? Let me just paste the code here, and don't worry, I will just provide the code, basically the SQL file, in my GitHub repo. Okay, and you can just go and check it there. Make sense? Makes sense. Very good. So here, let's actually go to my repo, and I have actually saved the script in this particular repository. It's called Ansh Lamba YouTube, and you can also check this repo. I have recently created this repo just for you if you just want to get the, you can say, anything useful for you. So you can just go and check it here. Instead of just sharing it again, I thought of just creating the repo. Okay, and just click on this button. It's really helpful for me. So just click on Ansh Lamba YouTube, and then you just need to find ADF Pro, which is at the top. Okay, so here there's a script called script.sql. Just click here and you will find this code. So let me just copy the code from here and just paste it here. So this will create the table for me. Where is the table? I think here. Yeah, perfect. And just one change that you would need to do is just put here source. The reason is we have the source schema, right? Simply click on run and it actually ran the pipeline. Oh, sorry, not pipeline, just the script. So actually we can just see the data now. Select asterisk from source dot orders. And if I run this, query succeeded, results is empty schema. Obviously, because we didn't feed anything, let's actually insert some data. And this you can treat as like, you can say 1 billion records for now. You can just obviously imagine, right? So I will simply say whatever orders, source. Okay, let's actually run this and let's see, select asterisk one more time. And this is my data. Perfect. So now we have the data available. Perfect. Okay. We have order date, we have last updated date, and everything is perfect. Okay, very good. Makes sense. So now what we need to do, we need to use this as a source. Okay. And not just this, this is just like one step. So this is our source basically. Okay. In order to just perform the incremental load, there are so many steps that we perform. So let me just tell you one by one, because obviously we need to build a pipeline from the real world perspective. So I will go to my resource group, just say okay. And the resource group will be DF Pro. Okay, perfect. So here I will be creating something called as container. Go to containers under data storage and I will create a container called, let's say, source. Okay. So this is my container called source. Perfect. So within this, we have to create a few things. What are those few things? We will be creating some JSON. Why? You will get to know why. So first of all, let's create a directory. Okay. And I will simply say monitor. Or let's say anything. Monitor is like very generic name. So just pick monitor. Okay. So within the monitor, we will create the JSON. Okay. And what that JSON will hold? That will hold our last timestamp we loaded the data. What did I say? Last timestamp we loaded the data. Now you will say, Ansh, Lamba, just to go back to Data Factory. Okay. And you will say we haven't loaded any data. So what you will save here? Exactly. So here we save the last loaded timestamp or basically date or whatever you can say. Okay. So the thing is, we know that we haven't loaded the data. So what we will be putting here, just use your common sense. In this particular JSON, we will be putting a date which is like very old. That can be, let's say 1900-0101. So we will put this date. Why? You will get to know. Hold on. I know you will be having so many questions. I will just request you to watch this segment of the video entirely, because all the strings need to be linked one by one. Okay. So let's create a file. And how you can just create a file? You will be just uploading JSON. And again, you can just go to my repo. So there's another file. It's called cdc.json that I have recently created. So if you open this, you will find it is just a JSON with this particular. Let me just zoom it. So this is your JSON with just one key value pair, CDC timestamp, and this is very old date, right? So you can simply download this from here. It will download the cdc.json and now you can upload this file here. Simply click on upload and then browse. Now the cdc.json is uploaded. Okay. See right here. Perfect. So what we need to do, we will be using an activity called lookup activity. Okay. So what this lookup activity will do? Lookup activity will just look for this particular file and it will return the output of it, basically the content within that JSON file. Okay. So for that, you would need to understand that we will be just creating some linked services, obviously. So for now, I can simply rename it. I will simply say CDC. Okay. Or you can say last CDC. Last CDC. Okay. CDC means change data capture, or you can say change tracking, whatever you want to say. Then go to settings. It will say first row only. You can simply uncheck it and then source data set. We do not have any source data set. So simply click on plus new. Okay. And even before clicking on plus new, you can go to manage tab just to create the linked services, because it's always a better practice to create the linked service beforehand. Click on plus new and we'll create a linked service with Azure Blob Storage Gen 2. Remember, Gen 2, not Gen 1, Gen 2. Click on continue and I will name it as, let's say, LS Data Lake. Okay, Data Lake, LS Data Lake. Okay, and authentication is fine. Account key, because both the resources are in the same resource group, so we do not need to worry about that thing. Account key will just take care of this thing. Okay, now storage account is DF Pro something, DF Pro storage. Perfect. And we can even test the connection. And this is fine. Click on create. Perfect. So now let's create another linked service. Linked service is basically the connection that we want to build from the source to destination or vice versa. Just a connection, right? Because just use your common sense. Data lake is something different. Data factory is something different. They both need to interact with each other. So they need to have a connection, right? Simple. Same with database as well. So I will simply say SQL database, Azure SQL database, click on continue. I will say LS database. Okay. And here Azure subscription, this one, server name will be DF Pro server. Authentication type I want to pick as SQL authentication. Okay. And username, I think Ansh admin or admin Ansh. I think admin Ansh. Let me just check. If I go here, go to resource. This is my DF Pro DB. Okay. If I go to query editor, yeah, it's Ansh admin. Okay. Let me just put the password. Okay. Now encryption is optional. We do not need encryption. And I think that's it. Host name is this one. Okay. What's left? SQL authentication is fine. This is fine. Host name and certificate, this is fine. Okay, parameters, it is fine. So I think everything is fine. We have server name, DB name, and SQL authentication. So we can just go with test connection and let's see if everything is fine. Yes, connection is successful. So simply click on create. So this link service is also created. Perfect. So now what we can do, go to author tab. Now click here and click on settings. Now you can just create a data set. Okay, click on plus new and you can simply say DS JSON or basically DS CDC. Okay. Oh, we first need to pick Azure storage Gen 2. Click on continue. And what kind of data is it? It is on JSON format, right? Simply click on JSON. Perfect. So now we can simply say DS, that means dataset, CDC, and linked service will be LS Data Lake. Okay. Now it is asking for the file path. Simply click on here, click on source, and this is our monitor folder. And this is our file, cdc.json. Perfect. Very good. Simply click on OK. So if you run this particular activity, if you click on debug, you will see the output of that file. Okay. And you will use this particular output in your query. Make sense? Very good. Let's refresh. It takes, I think, approximately 30 to 40 seconds sometimes. So let's see the output. Click on here. And this is the output. See? Value of this list and then CDC timestamp, and this is the value of it, 19000101. Make sense? So if you just want to use this value, you will be just using value list and then CDC timestamp. Okay, let me just show you. If you go to set variable and you can just create a variable for first of all, you can simply say test. Okay, because we are just testing it. I just want to show you how you can just use the output of one activity into another. So you can simply say set variable. Okay, just select here and this variable will be this one test and the value will be dynamic content. Click here and now this way you can use the output of any activity. If I click here, CDC output, but we know that we have the value list or basically value array. And what is the index of it? It is the 0th index. Then you can simply say CDC timestamp. Perfect. Make sense? Now if you just run this, you will see that this variable will hold the output of this. And this is the method of just getting the value from your previous activity and storing it in the forthcoming activities. Okay, makes sense. This ran fine. Now let's wait for this one. This is also fine. And if I see the output of this, I will see just value. Perfect. So this is the way to deal with it. Let me just delete it because I don't want it. And let me just delete this variable as well. Perfect. So this is my last CDC. Okay. So last CDC means what is the timestamp we loaded the data last time. Obviously we never loaded the data. That means 19010101. Make sense? Very good. So now what we need to do, we will simply add our main activity, which is copy activity. Copy activity is the activity to migrate the data from one place to another. As the name suggests, copy data, it copies the data. Okay, and I will simply say load because we are loading the data. Make sense? And I will connect it like this. And then you can click on source dataset. Obviously we do not have any dataset for SQL. Click on plus new and you can simply pick SQL database. Perfect. And name, what name do you want to pick? I will simply say database. Okay, link service we already have, ls database. Table, you can even manually pick the table, but actually I do not want to pick the table. Okay, so even you can simply say refresh because this step is optional. You do not need to have to pick the table name. And I personally do not like to pick the table name because I like to write my own query. And in order to just perform incremental load, you have to write your own query. Okay, so now you can simply say okay, like this. And now you have three options: table, query, and stored procedure. You will simply click on query. And this is your box for query. Just click on add dynamic content. So this is your area where you will be just performing the incremental load. So I will simply write the query select asterisk from. Okay, what is from? Obviously source dot orders, right? But I told you that I want to create this activity or basically pipeline in a dynamic way so that this activity can be used to perform any ingestion, literally any ingestion. So I will simply create parameters. I will simply say schema, okay, and table, and I will put the values here. Let's say schema is source and table name is orders. So what will be the benefit of it? Because this particular pipeline will be able to be used or basically will be able to ingest any data for any table. You do not need to worry about, hey, creating the same pipeline for all the different tables. No, you can simply use this pipeline to pull the data for any table. That is the power of this particular pipeline. Make sense? Very good. So this is my source and query will be like this. So let's say select asterisk from. So now we need to use parameters like this. And how you can just use the parameters, simply click on parameters and click on schema. Perfect. You need to just change a lot of things because what it does, it simply overwrites everything. Okay, so now you would need to write the same thing again, select asterisk from. Okay, and now instead of writing like this, you need to enclose it into curly braces like this. So now what will happen? This thing will be treated as a parameter and this thing will be treated as a normal string. And you can relate this thing with your f string in Python. If you have worked with f string in Python, this is the same concept or basically similar. Once we have schema, we will simply write dot and now we need to put orders. Make sense? Simply click here tables and now same thing, at the rate and curly braces. Oops. Okay, at the rate and then curly braces like this. So this particular command, and by the way, let me just remove everything. Let me say table. Perfect. At the rate and then this, and this particular line is equivalent to select asterisk from source dot table, source dot orders, whatever table you have. Perfect. Now we need to say where. What is the date that we have picked here? Let me just go there and just see. If I say tables, this is my tables. Okay. And if I say select top 1000 rows, click on run. If I see the date, it is called last updated. So I need to pick like this, where last updated greater than or equals to, basically greater than or equals to. Make sense? Not equals to, you can pick greater than, and then you will be writing single quote Now you need to put the value of the date which is here stored. Last CDC. Remember last CDC. So I will simply say activity outputs last CDC like this. Okay, obviously at the rate and then curly braces and then value of 0th index dot CDC timestamp. So this is pure dynamic. So what will happen? It will simply say greater than equals to this. Make sense? Okay, makes sense. So let's click on OK. So this is my activity. Make sense? Okay, very good. Very good. So this is my copy activity. Okay, and I want to save this activity, basically data, maybe here. Let's go to our resource group, then DF Pro, and in our storage, we will create the data container called sync. Okay, like this. Perfect. So we'll write our data in the sync. Okay, so sync is, obviously we do not have any kind of data set. So let's create one. Data lake storage gen 2, click on OK. And we want to store our data in the Parquet format. If you do not know about Parquet format is like a big data format which stores the data in the columnar format instead of row by row. And it's very efficient for big data processing. Click on Parquet, click here, and you can just name it as, let's say, DS Parquet. Okay, link service is this one. And you can just pick sync and then click OK. Click on OK. Perfect. So this is just the container name. Then I want to just, let's say, write my data within the folder. It's called date orders. Okay, let's say orders, and the file name will be, let's say, let's keep it empty because it's fine. It can just pick the file automatically. So it is fine. Okay, it is fine. So let's click on OK. Schema import, it's fine because we do not want to import any schema. Click on OK and none. Perfect. So this is my copy activity. Okay, last CDC and copy data. But you know what? We do not want to do it like this because we are just doing this thing with the help of, you can say, dynamic approach. So what we can do in terms of like achieving this thing. So first of all, break this particular connection. Okay. And just keep it aside. Okay. And even deactivate it. It will say select asterisk. It's fine. It's fine. Why it is now red? Because we have broken the connection. It's fine. Simply click on general and deactivate. Because we need to import another activity. It's called script activity. What is script activity? Script activity is just like, let's say if you just want to run any kind of SQL command over your source or over your destination, you can use this activity called script. You can just write your SQL script and that's fine. Make sense? So what we're going to do, we will simply go here, click on source, and we will simply copy this particular SQL script and paste it here. And obviously we do not have any kind of link service. Yes, we have link service, this one, and query or non-query. So basically there are two things, query and non-query. Query means when you just want to see the output of the SQL result. Non-query means when you just want to run your DDL command, let's say create table, alter anything. So we do not want to do that. Simply click on add dynamic content and just click here. Just click here. And instead of writing asterisk, just say count. Just say count. Because we just want to see the count. Make sense? And you can even alias that thing. Let's say total count. Make sense? Total count. Click on OK and just connect it. Now let's name it as, let's say, total results. Make sense? And if I go to settings, everything is fine. Let's try to run this thing. Okay. Now let's see what happens. And you will see like why are we using all these things. You will see that. Okay, let's wait. Last CDC. This particular activity takes some time because it reads data from the data lake. So it ran fine. Now let's see total results. And we all know that value of this is 190101 and this has failed. Wow, why it failed? Invalid object name Sorus. Wow, Sorus. Who wrote Sorus? It's source, bro, source. Source. Okay, let's say debug one more time. Oh man, just write source. Perfect. Let's say debug and let's run it for one more time. Because see, in the real world, we do not want to waste our resources. No resources. Okay, so we need to just build our pipeline in such a way so that it will just save the resources wherever it can. Okay, good. And you will say that how it will just save the resources. You will get to know. So it is done. Okay, if I just see the output, I will see total results. Let's expand it. Total count basically is 10. This is the value. This is the value. And what is the method of it? Like how we can just access this particular output? It's called result sets array of 0th value, because this is just like one element within that. Okay. And within result sets of 0, then it's called rows, and then 0, and then total count. This is the way we just read JSON. So this is like fundamental thing. So now why did I add this thing? Why I want to check the number of rows? Why? Because just tell me one thing. This is my copy activity to move the data from one place to another. Correct? Yes. Let's say in my particular pipeline, let's say if I am today if I am running the pipeline, I do not have any kind of records due to any reason. I don't have any new data for today. Let's say, should I run this copy activity even if I have 0 records? You will say, Ansh, obviously no, because you do not have any new records. That's why. So this activity will tell me if I have number of records greater than 0. Oh, so this is a kind of validation step that we need to apply to save our resources, because this consumes computation, right? So here we will simply write if condition. Okay, we have if condition as well. Yes, we have everything. Don't worry. We have everything here. If condition, and we'll connect it here. Make sense? Let's try to configure it and let's see how we need to configure it. I will simply say if rows greater than 0. Okay, if new records, let's say if new rows. Okay, if new rows, if we have new rows. Okay, and what is the expression? How we will be just evaluating it, because it's just a if condition, and for if condition we have to just pass the condition, right? What is the condition, bro? The condition is very simple. You will simply say a function called greater. Okay, greater. Now obviously it is a greater function. You need to compare two values. The one value will be total results output, and you need to say result sets array of 0th index, then rows of 0th index, then total count, right? Total count if it is greater than 0. So if this particular value is greater than 0, then only, oh wow, they have just changed the UI. Wow, man. Nice. It was not like this before. Okay, this is nice. Okay, so this is the expression. Okay, so if this expression is true, then only we want to run our copy activity. I will simply say Control X and let's go inside it, expand it, click on this pencil and paste it here. And let's now activate it. Activate. So now what it will do, just look at that thing. If we, first of all, it will simply look for the last ADC. Perfect. It will run the script to count the number of records. Perfect. If we have any new count, that means if the count is greater than 0, then only it will run my copy activity. Otherwise it will do nothing. False statement has nothing. Make sense? Make sense? Make sense? Very good. Very good. And that's not enough. We just need to do our last step as well. What is that? So just tell me one thing. Let's say we have performed this activity. Let's say we had the new records and now this activity is done. Next day, what should be the value of this? You will say obviously the latest value. Let's say today. Exactly. Exactly. But what is the value here? 19000101. So who will update that value? Who will update that value? We will update that value. How? Let me just tell you. Because see, this is a modern approach of incremental loading with respect to big data. Earlier, we used to work with watermarks using stored procedures, but now we do not create watermark stored procedures. We create JSON files. This is a modern approach. Okay. So how we can just do that? It is very simple. Here I will simply say add another copy activity. Okay. And this will say change CDC, because we are just changing the CDC. But you will say, Ansh, Lamba, what are we copying here? We actually do not need to copy anything. But if you remember, we need to change this particular monitor file, which is called cdc.json. Make sense? cdc.json. In order to just change this file, we have to use an empty JSON, and we will just pass that empty JSON to change the CDC. Sounds critical, right? But it is not. So let's create our empty JSON. Let's go here and let's click on add file, create new, and let me just call as empty JSON, empty.json. Okay, perfect. And what will be the content of it? Nothing, just 2 curly braces, and that's it. That's it. Make sense? Let's download this. Not this one, empty JSON. Let's click on download. You can also download it. Okay. So now let me just upload this file here. File is uploaded. Let's click on upload, empty.json. Make sense? Empty.json. So now this file is also there. Now we can use this particular thing. If I connect it here, I will simply say source. What is my source? My source is, let's create a new one. Okay. Let's say Azure Storage Gen 2. Click on continue, JSON, continue, and let's say DS empty JSON. Okay, link service is this one, and let's pick that file. It's in the source. Okay, monitor, and then empty JSON. So this is my source. Make sense? This is my source. Now you need to simply scroll down and simply say additional columns, because now we want to add a column, and just click here, just write CDC timestamp, because the column name in the cdc.json is cdc timestamp. And what will be the value? Value will be dynamic. Just scroll down and click on add dynamic content. Just add dynamic content, and it will open the dynamic content. And what will be the content? This is really important. What will be the content? Just tell me. What will be the value? So ideally, the value will be the max value of last updated column, right? So instead of writing it like this, you need to add another script activity between them. Okay. Script activity like this. Connect it, and you will get max CDC. Okay. Just connect it like this, because this will hold the max value of it. And you already know how to do that. Simply say query, add dynamic content. Now simply write select max of last updated from. Okay. And from is this one, from schema. Remove the @ from here. Write it here. Dot table. Perfect. Make sense? So what it will do, it will simply say select max of last updated, and I can even use, let's say, CDC timestamp as alias from this. So it will return me this particular thing, CDC timestamp. Make sense? Okay, very good. Now we can just use this value here in the sync. If you go to sync dataset, and sync dataset is dscdc, and before that we need to put the value here. Simply pick add dynamic content. Perfect. And this will be activity output, right? Which is max CDC. Max CDC dot, I think, result sets of 0, then rows, then 0, then CDC timestamp. I think it is something like this. So this value will be go as the column value. Okay. And the sync will be dscdc. Perfect. So this will override this particular file with this particular value. I hope it makes sense. I know it is like a little bit complex, but that's what we do in the real world as well. So you have to learn how to do all these things. Make sense? Make sense? Make sense? Make sense? Okay. So now it is layer 1. It is fine. Okay. Okay. Perfect. So this is the way that we store the, you can say, incremental data load, so that we can just perform incremental ingestion. Make sense? Okay. So now one more thing is missing. What is that? We just mentioned about backdated refresh. Where is that backdated refresh? So first of all, let me just show you by running this particular pipeline. Then you will be just discussing about the backdated refresh as well. Okay, because there can be some typo here, and just make sure there's no typo. So let's say debug and click on, let me just change the value in the parameters. It is source, not source. Okay, let's say debug. Okay, let's say okay. I just want to make sure like there's no typo here, because whenever you just use expression builder, if you are an ADF developer, you know like there can be some typos. Okay, now let's see the output. Okay, makes sense. Okay, so I think this is running this. Perfect. So now it is running this pipeline, and let's see if we have everything. And this backdated refresh will be a little bit complex, but don't worry, I will make you understand everything. Don't need to worry. You just need to write a lovely comment in the comment section. That's it. Why? Because that will motivate me more, and I will just make you understand all the things. Simple formula, right? So total results is also fine. Okay, which is 10. That means we have some data. Then if new rows, and you will feel the power of this pipeline. I will just show you. I will just show you all the validation steps as well. Who is calling me? Oh, okay. Okay, so this has performed load step as well. Why load step? Because obviously we had more than 0 records. So it performed load step. Very good. And change CDC has actually failed. Let's see the reason. Okay, makes sense. I know what is this. So basically we used max CDC. Okay, result sets, rows of this one. Okay, result sets and then rows. Maybe we just missed one spelling. Let's see, because it happens. Oh, results sets. See, there was a typo. I was so sure. Okay, result sets. Source is this one, and let's say result sets. Makes sense. Click on OK. Let's run the pipeline one more time. And just for the reference, I will simply delete the data because I want to just see everything from scratch. Okay, let's go to sync. We know that we have orders data, but it's fine. We will simply drop it for now. Perfect. So let's run this pipeline for one more time. There was a small typo. So what we're going to do now, let's say this pipeline will run fine, and I know it will run fine. So we loaded all the data, and you can obviously we have 10 records here, because obviously you are learning and you do not need to spend 1 billion records processing power. It will give you a long bill, obviously. See, so you can imagine that those 10 records are equivalent to 1 billion plus records. Make sense? 1 billion plus records. Now you have loaded all the 1 billion plus records. Okay. Now today, just imagine that you ran this pipeline yesterday. Today, you want to rerun this pipeline because it is scheduled to run on a daily basis. Now this pipeline should run today as well. Simple. But as per our logic, if we do not have any new records, because we do not have any new records in the source, right? We have loaded all the data. Should it run anything? Should it even run the load activity, which is the data migration? The answer is no, right? So we will validate it here if it is running that thing or not. Make sense? Very good. Just wait for it to be completed. Let's wait. Change CDC is running, and it was failed previously, but it ran fine this time. Very good. So all the steps are amazing. Love you. So now we have load data. If I go here, if I just refresh, if orders, we have this data. Make sense? All the 10 records are here. Very good. If I go to source, just to see the CDC in the source, what is the value that I will get in the CDC timestamp? The new value. If I click on edit, see, this is the value that is the maximum value from that particular data. Make sense? Very good. So now if I run this particular pipeline again, if I say debug, okay, if I say debug, okay, what will happen? We have just discussed that. What will happen? it will first of all read the last CDC. Okay. Then it will read the total results. Okay. And the total results outcome will be, let's say, I think 0, because we do not have any new data in the source. Okay. But let's confirm. Let's see. In progress. Okay. Okay. This is 0. Now, if new rows will run, and that's it. No child activity will run inside this. That means no load activity will run. No, you can say change CDC will run. So what did we do? We saved the resources if we do not have any kind of new data. That is the real world incremental load pipeline. Make sense? Make sense? Very good. Now, if I, let's say, add new data in the source, new means incremental data. If I go here in script.sql, if I, let's say, add these 5 more records as well, let's add it. Let's go to, where was that? Okay, go to resource. If I go to query editor, okay, and if I, let's say, add insert 5 more records, let me add source dot orders. Okay, let's say run. So okay, now we have new data. Now let's try to run this pipeline. Let's see what happens. Let's see. Now it should run, right? Because we have the new data. Okay. Now let's see. And what is the date? Okay. Date is good. Now it should run, right? And how many records it should run? Like how many records it should process? Only 5, right? And we will also validate that information as well. If it is running only 5 or all the records, that means 15. Let's wait. And this will give me 5 records. See, total count 5. And now it is running load 5. Perfect. Okay. Load is running. If I click on this goggles, I will see some thing. See, rows read. It is just reading 5 records instead of 15. Make sense? Very good. Very, very good. Now max CDC will be changed to the maximum of the CDC available, right? Which will be 27th of September. Perfect. Make sense? So this is your production grade pipeline ready that you build in the real world. Now we will be adding the stage where we can just let's say give the liberty to the user to add backdated refresh option. Okay, let's do that as well, because this is perfectly running fine. So now what I will do, I will simply go to parameters. Okay, let me say plus new, and I will simply add a, you can say backdate. Okay, so this is a backdate. This is empty by default. Okay, because obviously you do not want to run the backdate every time. Make sense? So now what I will do, I will simply go to the script. Okay, let's try to edit it. So now what we need to do, we will simply go to where command, because last updated greater than this. So here it is directly using the output of this particular last CDC. But now we need to apply a logic where it will not directly look for this one. It will only look for this output if the parameter is empty. Okay, if it is not empty, then it will take that value. Make sense? If not, it will make sense now. Don't worry. So this thing, we need to just make this thing dynamic. So I will simply add one function called if, @if. Okay, and just be with me. This is the if condition. Okay, and let's try to add some spaces, so you can just ignore the activity last CDC something. So we will just start from if condition. So the condition is if the length, do we have length function here, or maybe size? Okay, or if empty, let's say if empty what? This parameter. If backdate is empty, okay, if it is empty, then it can use this thing, which is last load. Okay, if it is not empty, if it is, let's say, let me remove the curly braces and you can add curly braces here. Perfect. Perfect. So now it is saying if pipeline.parameters.backdate, that means this parameter, if it is empty, that means we do not need to apply backdate refresh, then it can just pick this value. Okay, then it can pick this value. But if this parameter is not empty, then I want to use this parameter called backdate. Simple. This is the logic. This is the logic. Understood? Understood, understood, understood. Make sense? Simple. It's not a big deal. But yes, you need to just take care of this code because this is using curly braces in different, you can say, positions other than using it here. So that's why I'm just pausing it here. You can just exactly write the code and then you can just try to see the results. Make sense? Because this expression builder is the backbone of everything. So I will copy this and I will paste it in the load as well. Okay. And here we do not need to just count. We need to load the data as well. Perfect. Okay. Very good. And in the max CDC is fine because max CDC is just like reading the max data of that particular thing. Makes sense? Okay. Okay. Makes sense. Like max of CDC timestamp from, yeah. It makes sense. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Okay. Got it. Got it. So are you ready to test this particular feature? Okay. Let's try to debug and we will not provide backdate refresh for now. Okay. So what it should do, obviously it will run as is if it doesn't have any errors. Okay. Makes sense. Makes sense. And let's wait and then we'll just try to provide the backdated refresh as well. Let's say any date, anything. We can just provide, let's say 25th of September and it will just load the data after 25th of September. That's how it works, your backdated refresh. Make sense? Okay, very good. So let's see. And for now, total results are 0. Yes, because we do not have added any kind of data. So that part is working fine. Okay, now let's add the backdated value. Let's provide the value here as, let's say 2025 09 and then 24. Let's say. So what will happen? Do you know? I want to refresh my data and I want to bring the data from the backdate. Okay, customized date. Okay, it's not incremental. It's not full load. It's like customized date. So I'll simply say debug. Let's see what will happen now. Let's see. Because this is the new feature that you are learning. Okay. Let's see. Okay, last CDC, we do not worry because we do not use last CDC here. We just use total results. I want to see like what will be the total results. Okay. Okay, let's see how many results we have. 0. Total count is 0. That means something is wrong. Let me see the query that it is running. Select count asterisk from this. Okay, last update is this one. Okay, makes sense. So I think this is still picking the last date, which is this one. And why it is the reason? Let's check and let's see. Let's check and see. Oh, I think we didn't save the expression that we wrote. Oh man, let me just bring it from here. If we saved it from here, yes. We didn't save the data in this script. I think we directly copied and pasted in the other one, but we forgot to save it here. I was like, what's wrong? Okay, let's run it for one more time. Let's run it. I hope you are learning all of these things. And I want you to just complete all these things and just post it on your social media platforms about this particular pipeline, about this particular video, about this particular snippets. It will help you in your career, bro. Because these things are like really real world expression, real world pipelines that we are building. So you can just post it on your social media platforms and you can just tag me if you want. Otherwise, just post it anyway. Because that will highlight your profile, your skills in front of, let's say, hiring managers or whatever people are just looking for these kind of roles. Make sense? And just try to share all of these YouTube videos with others as well, so that more and more people can come on this YouTube platform and they can learn about these things. Let's see the output. This time it is 9. Perfect. So that means this is a customized pattern, and let's see. Okay, load is running. Perfect. Backdate refresh is working. Perfectly fine. Very good. Very good. This is a pipeline. And do you know the power of this? This is pure dynamic. Let's say you have any other schema. Just change the value here. Let's say you have any other table. Just change the value here. Perfect. It's all dynamic. It's a kind of, you can say, plug and play. Just plug this pipeline and just play with it. That's it. That's why I want you to, oh wow, we have some failures. Ooh. No worries. Let's see. Okay, it is saying syntax near the keyword as. Okay, let's see what is the syntax. I think I know the issue because we just copied and pasted that particular thing in the load step. And instead of just doing that thing, we needed to just remove the alias. I remember. See, we do not need to put as total count because it doesn't make any sense. No worries, some typos, and it happens. And let me just say max cd. See, max cd is fine. Okay, let's run it. So yeah, I was saying that just build these kind of artifacts and just try to populate these things. It will help you to showcase your skills, bro, because the world is really competitive right now. Because just tell me one thing. Just be in their shoes as well. How? Just think about it. Let's say you are looking for an ADF developer for your organization. Just imagine. Okay. And there are thousands of people who are saying, I know ADF. I am an ADF developer. Everyone is saying this thing. How you can say, bro, I am a pro ADF developer. Hey, bro, I am an expert in ADF. How you can just say that? You cannot say that. Because in resume, everyone is just saying the same thing. You have to showcase these things on the platforms where people can see and people can encourage your development. Make sense? And now it is running fine. And the load step brought 9 records. Very good. And change CDC and perfect. And now this is not the end, because we gonna just see one more thing, which is like, you can say, backbone of real world pipeline. What is that? Basically alerting. Because obviously whenever you just work with, let's say, any kind of production ready or basically real world pipelines, you have to work with something called as alerting or basically monitoring. Make sense? Okay. So let's say this pipeline is completed. This is running every single day. But let's say due to any reason this pipeline failed, and reason can be anything, right? It can be, let's say, network outage. It can be, let's say, some typos. Maybe something is wrong on the data source side. Anything. You need to get the alerts of the pipelines, basically about the failures. Make sense? So for that particular purpose, we simply use something called as Logic Apps. Yes. So first of all, what we will be doing, this is the ingestion pipeline, right? So we will create another pipeline. Okay. And let me just click on publish all to just save all the things. And don't worry, I will also show you CI/CD thing of Data Factory, where you will be creating multiple branches. Like, let's say, whatever branches you would have created in the past, we will literally creating the Git branches within the ADF. And I will just show you how you can just work with Git with respect to ADF. Don't worry about that. And you will then see the power of this publish all button. Now it is like totally simple, but at that time you will see the power of it. Okay, very good. So now this is our ingestion pipeline. Let's create our main pipeline, and it's called scheduled pipeline. Okay, this is the scheduled pipeline that will be just scheduling it. Okay, so in this particular pipeline, I will use something called as invoke or basically execute pipeline. So this is an activity which executes the whole pipeline, and in our case it is ingestion. Make sense? So we want to execute it. Make sense? So let's say you want to execute it. I will simply say settings and invoke pipeline ingestion. And here it is asking me to provide the values. I can simply provide the values here. Source, then orders, and I want to keep this value backdate as null. It's fine. So this is my one pipeline. Okay, this is done. Let's publish all. Okay, now we'll be creating our logic app to get the alerts. Make sense? So how you can just do that? Simply go to your resource group, DF Pro, and here you will be creating something called as logic app. Just click on create and just simply search logic app. Perfect. Logic app, then click on create, and perfect. It is saying multi-tenant workflow service plan, and that's it. Consumption, standard, hybrid, just you can simply pick. I will say multi-tenant, fully managed and easy to get started. I think, yeah, you can just pick this one. Click on select. Okay. And then logic app name, I will simply say DF Pro logic. Makes sense. Then simply say new plus, like review plus create. And this is like a little bit expensive, so you can simply create it, and once it is enabled, once it is used, you can simply delete it immediately, just to save the cost, because you are simply learning it, right? Go to resource, and this is our logic app resource. Make sense? Perfect. So now this is the development tools, logic app designer. So this is the tab where you design the logic app. See, add a trigger and logic app code view, logic app templates. There are some templates as well, but we will not be using templates. We will simply design the logic app from scratch. Simple. So this is saying add a trigger. Basically logic app, you can treat logic app as a kind of backend API, which will be triggered based on our API call. That's it. Let's say you are building a Flask application in Python. You simply write the URL, basically endpoints, obviously. And then whenever someone hit that endpoint, you execute a Python function and you return something. This is the same thing. You are simply routing something and you will simply write a function, not exactly a function, but you will return something. Okay, let me just click on add trigger. So there are like so many triggers, request, HTTP, schedule, so many things. So here you can literally pick, I think HTTP, because it can be HTTP request. So you can simply say HTTP. Now it will simply say URI. You will not get the URI immediately. So instead of this, not actually, I guess HTTP, because we need to just send a request. So I will simply click on close and let's pick something else. Let's say this one, add a description, parameters, how we can just do that. Pin action, delete, yes. Add a trigger, and yeah, just simply pick when an HTTP request is received. This is fine. So this is basically a kind of API that we are trying to build, similar to that. So in an API, what happens? We simply create a kind of route. Okay. And what is a route? This is the route. You will say, hey, this is empty. Yeah, I know. It will be like populated once everything is configured. So this will give you an endpoint, basically route URL. And whenever we'll be just hitting to that URL, we are simply creating a post API. Okay. So in the post API, what we do, we simply passed a body as well. Okay. Make sense? So why we need to just pass the body? We just imagine you need to receive an email. Okay. And you need to receive some details of the failure. Let's say pipeline name, reason, run ID, all those things. So how this API will send all those information? It will first of all receive those information from the user, and it will use that information and send it to the user, basically whatever the receiver is. Make sense? So that is why we'll be just using a post API, and post API means when we send some data, it processes it and it takes an action. It can be a kind of returning a web page. It can be just sending an email. It can be anything, right? So this is the method. Okay, that is fine. Now request body. Now there is a specific syntax that we need to follow. Okay, but obviously no one remembers that. So simply click on use sample payload. And here what you need to do, you need to simply pass a dictionary. Let's say I want to pass pipeline name, and you can simply pass any name, blah, blah, let's say. Okay. I want to also pass pipeline run ID. Okay. And this is also the, okay. So this is done. So this will automatically convert it into a format like this. See, like this. Perfect. So this is also done. Make sense? So this is done. So now we will be receiving the code like this. Once we have received that, we need to take an search, send email. Maybe something will come up. Send email, especially the Outlook one. Okay. Send email, where is that? Send an email v2. Yeah, perfect. So this is the one, send an email v2. So this means like we need to just send an email. Maybe in your case it will ask you to sign in. Okay, I have already signed in, so that is why it is not asking me to do that. In your case you can just sign in with your Outlook account, basically with your this Azure account. So now two means where, like, on which ID you need to send. Okay, I will simply say my ID Ansh Lamba az@gmail.com, but you can just pick any ID, literally any ID. Okay, because maybe you just need to send the alert to your manager, whatever. Subject will be, let's say, pipeline failed, wake up. Okay, now body can be anything. It is just the email message, right? I can simply say, hey bro, your pipeline is failed. You can write it like this, and obviously this is not like very useful whenever you just receive this email. Okay, my pipeline is failed, but what pipeline? What is the name of that pipeline? What is the pipeline run ID? What is the error message? What is that thing? So here comes the use of these information that we have asked the user to provide. Because see, this thing was optional when we just asked to provide the you can say body, because even if we do not configure that body part, it will run fine. The only thing is we cannot use all those information if we do not ask the user to provide all those body things. Let's say pipeline name, pipeline run ID. But now we have that. Now our API has received that information from the user. Now we can just use it. How? Let me show you. Let's say here are the details. Perfect. Here are the details, and let me just click on this thunder button. Okay, so when you click on it, you will see all the things. Pipeline name, this thing, and I can even write it like this. Let's say pipeline name, and then pick that variable pipeline name. Then you can say run ID, then run ID. Perfect. So this is done. This is done. And now you can simply say done. Now if you click here, and you can click on save. Okay, this is the logic app that is created. Now if I click on, let's say, URL, this is my URL that I can just use. See, now I will go to my data factory and I will simply say web activity. So we have web activity to make any API call in Azure. So I will simply say alerts. Okay, and I will configure it on the failure, on fail. Okay, alert settings, URL. So URL will be this one. Obviously click on OK, and method is post. Very good. Now obviously in the post method we need to send the body. So body will be those variables that we configured. So one is pipeline name. Just make sure you are just picking the exact same keys, and pipeline name you can actually pull it from variables or system variables. So this is the pipeline name, and just use this @ here, and you have to encapsulate all the things in the double quotes. Okay, pipeline name is this, and the second thing is pipeline. Let me just check the body, pipeline name, and pipeline run ID. Okay, pipeline run ID. Okay, now pipeline run ID is here. So all these things are available. Perfect. So now what will happen if we have any kind of failure? It will simply send me an alert. And this is the scheduled version of it. Obviously we haven't talked about triggers, but we'll be just talking about triggers as well, because now we are just going to schedule this whole pipeline. But that is the concept of using alerts. That's how you just receive the alerts on your pipeline failures. Make sense? Okay, very good. Let me just click on publish all. Okay, and just remember to delete the logic app resource because it is costly, a little bit costly. So you can just simply delete it after this section. Okay, so now we're gonna talk about triggers, how you can just trigger your pipeline and how you can just apply basically triggers. So it is very, very simple. You can click on add trigger. Okay, you can even click on trigger now, but obviously you do not need to trigger now. Click on new and edit. Now you have plus new, and now you will be just creating the trigger. Let's say schedule. Okay, now we have some types of trigger. First is schedule trigger, which is the most widely used trigger type. Okay, because you just want to schedule a pipeline. Tumbling window is like similar to schedule trigger, but with the tumbling window you can actually run your pipelines in the past as well. You will rarely use this particular window schedule type, but yeah, it is there. It is there. Then we have storage events. What is the storage event? This is a very special thing, and this is very similar to, let's say, a kind of real-time data triggers. How? Storage events means you want to trigger a pipeline when something has happened. Maybe a blob is created, maybe a file is generated, maybe a file is deleted. So if you want to just, let's say, trigger your pipeline on the basis of some kind of action, then you just pick this particular storage events. Make sense? And by default it will not be enabled on your subscription because it is a special thing that you need to enable in your you can say subscription, but that is fine. Again, this is not very much used, but you should know about this thing. So we'll simply pick scheduled, and this is our scheduled timestamp. We want to schedule it from now, Atlantic times on this, and recurrence you can just pick on 15 minutes, or you can even say minutes, or let's say daily. So we want to just, let's say, run this pipeline on a daily basis. Okay. And you can say start trigger on a creation. No, do not start a trigger, just say okay. So this is the trigger. Make sure publish. Yes, we will just publish it, and you can just publish it. So now this particular trigger is created, and I can just even show you as well. So this is publishing it. If you go to manage, if you just go to, let's say, triggers, you will see this trigger is created, but for now it is stopped because we didn't start it, but we can just start it. But what will happen once we start it, will just keep on running and running and running. That we do not want, but I just wanted to show you that's how you can just create the triggers. Okay, so this is your trigger. Make sense? Make sense. And whatever parameters that you have, if you just click here, you will see scheduled, close, and if you just see the code, all these things are here. Make sense? Make sense? Okay, good. So that's how you can just run your trigger. Okay. And even if you just click here, scheduled, and this is your pipeline, which is just scheduled. Make sense? Okay. So we do not have any kind of parameters here, if you see, but we have just provided some values, hard coded it. We can do it, like it's not a big deal. But if you have some complex data types, so ideally you should create the parameters here. Let's say schema plus you can say table, then let's say backdate. Okay. And you can just pass the value here. Let's say source, orders, and that's it. And what you will do, you will click here, and instead of hard coding these values, click on add dynamic content and click on this. Let's say schema. Oops, schema. Perfect. Table is table. Backdate is backdate. So whatever value you will be providing here in the parent pipeline will eventually flow to the inner pipeline. So that's how you create these things in the production, right? Click on publish all, click on publish. And now if I click on the triggers, you will see those things in the trigger as well. If I click on triggers, if I click on plus, if I click on schedule, not in here, if you just click on code, you will see those things. Where's that? I just want to show you the parameters. Usually it comes here. Okay. Okay. If I click on new edit. Oh, so here parameters, we can just pass the parameters. Yeah, that's what I wanted to show you. So you can simply pass the values. Let's say schema is source, and then table is orders, and backdate is this. So that's how you can just change the values in the trigger as well. Validation, it fixed it before publishing. Schedule has no default value, must be specified. Yeah, we can just specify the default value backdated. It's fine even if we do not specify it. And if I just click here, backdate, let's say new edit, parameters are this. Make sure to publish for triggers. Okay. Okay, schedule parameter backdate has no default value, must be specified. Why do I need to pick default value? Okay, let's do it like this. Just empty string. Okay. Okay. Makes sense. Makes sense. Makes sense. Because this is just the default value and we haven't passed anything here in the trigger. If you see one, if I say this thing, do we have that value here? Schedule, it's fine. Okay, perfect. And now if I say new edit and if I click on parameters, Okay, perfect. So this is fine. So let's publish it for one more time. So this is also fine. So this is, you can say, scheduling your pipeline, including alerts and including your increment ingestion that we have done. So I hope this end-to-end pipeline has given you like a lot of information, a lot of knowledge in the world of Azure Data Factory. Obviously, we're gonna just launch so many other activities, so many other stuff, but I would say this is the backbone of today's era where you have to build these kind of pipelines. Make sense? And let's see what do we have next in this particular video. So now we gonna talk about very important thing which is called, and I would say with the rise of big data, I am seeing a trend where yes, we are using SQL databases a lot, but there is another source that we are using a lot. It is called API. It sounds so simple whenever we just say, hey, we want to just load the data using API, because we will be having URL and we can easily load the data using API. But you know what? Things get messy when you need to apply pagination rules. What do you mean by pagination rules? Okay, so let's see and let's just try to look at this API. Pokey API, just a like demo API that we are just trying to see, because it has all those things which we need to demonstrate each and everything. Okay, so first of all, it is a REST API. That means representational state transfer API. RESTful API basically is like the modern, earlier we were just using SOAP API, but RESTful API are like better than SOAP API. Okay, first of all, let's talk about this thing. What do we have here? So what is the link? It is very simple. Simply go on Google and just search pokyapi.co and you will land on this page. Okay, so let's say this is my API, and first of all, let me just remove Ditto and let me just click on submit. Okay, submit. So this is the response that I have received from this API. Perfect. I want to store the data. Here is data in the results. If I expand it, here are the things: name, URL, name, URL, name, URL. So we have 20 basically items within the results array. Makes sense. Sounds very simple. So if you would have worked with API in the past, you will simply say Ansh Lamba. This is so simple. We can simply use this particular API, basically endpoint, and we can simply apply get request and we will simply get this whole data. Wow, so simple. Yes, it is simple. But do you know what? This is just like 20 items. Okay. How many items do we have in total? It is 1302. Wow. Okay. Now, for each URL, we are simply getting 20 records. So if I divide 1300 by 20, it will be somewhere around, I would say 65, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, 65. See, I have done my bachelor's in mathematics. So 65. Obviously not we. Let's say your manager has given you this task. Okay, your manager has asked you, we want all the data. Now you have a liberty. You have a liberty. You have a liberty to pull the data in whatever way you want to. Okay, so you have two options. You have option number one, to make 65 API calls, maybe in a loop, or maybe let's say in different copy activities. 65. And bro, see, here we just have 1302, but maybe in Oracle API or in any API, we'll be having, let's say, millions of records. Millions. And do not feel like it is not realistic. Bro, in real world, we get millions of records. Okay. So just imagine, how will you handle that? Because obviously you will say, I will not be calling different copy activities. Okay. Will you run a loop? You will say, yeah, kind of. That is not an ideal thing. Even if you run a loop, because loop cannot just run across millions of records. It will take a lot of time. Plus, like, see, you can run a loop. That is, you can say, alternate, you can say, solution that you have. You can run a loop. I know that. But what is the best approach to deal with these particular scenarios? Make sense? Let's try to look at that thing. So first of all, let me just show you how this data will look like. So this is basically the response, and if you just paste this particular URL in your browser, you will see this particular result. So here you are seeing count. Next, what is this next? Next is nothing but just the URL to the next page, because we have so many pages. So it is just like next, 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 next. Okay. And initially we just get 20 records, as you can see, Pokemon 20. Make sense? Makes sense. Okay. So now let's go to our ADF. Okay. Let's try to create a pipeline. It's called REST API. Okay. REST API. Perfect. So this is our pipeline. So first of all, we need to simply use a web activity. Okay. Just to see the result, even if we are just able to hit to that endpoint or not. Simple. Okay. So now I will simply say endpoint. Perfect. Settings, connection type this URL. Now we need to just put the URL, and the URL is this one. This one. Okay. This is the URL. Okay. Let me just put it here. So this is my URL. Okay. Method is get. Now let's try to debug it. Let's see if we are able to get the response or not. That's it. Then we will be just performing the copy activity after that. Okay. Okay. Let's wait. This will not take much time, I would say. Okay, perfect. Let's see the response. Yes, perfect. We are seeing the response. Perfect, perfect, perfect. And these are the results. Name URL, name URL, name URL. And what Pokemon do we have? Bulbasaur. Oh, Bulbasaur is my favorite. Let me just tell you. Charmander is also good. Okay, let's not talk about that for now. Okay. Bulbasaur, I think, was like a cabbage, if I'm not wrong. Bulbasaur. If I'm not wrong. Yeah, see? And Charmander was like with fire, I would say. Yeah. Nostalgia. Okay. So now let's focus on our ADF. Okay. ADF. So now we have this particular endpoint. Makes sense. So now we have this particular endpoint. Now that means we are able to get the results. Okay. Now come to the main point. How we can just copy the data using all the pages. Because see, there are so many pages. There are so many pages. As I just have shown you, like we have 1302 records, right? So in order to do that, do you know what we need to do? First of all, we will simply bring the copy activity. Okay. And we will simply connect it with this. Why? I will just let you know. Don't worry. So copy activity, and we will simply say copy all data. Okay. Copy all data. Source. What is the source? Obviously, we do not have any kind of source. So we'll simply create one source. It's called REST API. Okay. REST API. And this will be called as DEF REST. And link service, we do not have any. So let's create one, and it will be called as LS REST API. Perfect. What is the base URL? Base URL is this one. Obviously, it is like full URL, and it's fine. Authentication is anonymous because it is like public API. So let's test connection. Perfect. Let's click on create. Make sense? And this is also created. Okay. So this is my source. Make sense? Okay. Very good. Now sync. Let's say I want to put this data in a new data set, and usually we try to put our data in the JSON format because that's the best format if we are just working with APIs. Okay, so let's try to create one JSON data set. Let's say this one, and I'll simply say DS API. Okay, link service is this one, and let's try to put this data in sync, and then click on OK, and then create a new folder called API, and this will be, let's say, called as Pokemon. Okay, Pokemon.json maybe. Yeah, perfect. Click on OK. Yeah, we do not need to import schema, so it is fine. So this is good. Now if I run this, do you know what will happen? It will work fine, but it will only bring 20 records. Let me just show you. Let me just show you, because we need to learn all the things step by step. Okay, let me just show you. So it will simply bring 20 records. It should. By the way, that was looking cute, right? Charmander. He was my favorite. Wow. What was his name? This water guy. I forgot. Golden days, golden days, golden days. So, okay, this is also done. Let's see how many records did we read. Objects read 1. You said, Ansh, Lamba, we have 20. Basically, it is like one object because results is just one object. Within that one object, we have 20 records. Okay, so do not get confused. I can show you the results. If I go to storage account, containers, then if I go to sync, now if I go to API, Pokemon.json, if I click on edit, I will see this thing. See, I have 20 records. Name URL, name URL, name URL, name URL, and at the end we will see 20. See, 20. Makes sense? So this is working fine, but just for the 20 records. But now I will just tell you how you can just apply pagination rule. Just scroll down in the copy activity. You will see pagination rules and simply delete the existing one. Click on plus new. Here, if you click on this drop down, you will see a long list. Absolute URL, query parameters, headers, end collection, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So here I will just tell you, it totally depends upon the API, the nature of API, what thing we need to use for pagination. Okay. The first thing is sometimes whoever has developed the API can provide the link to the next page within the response, which is the case here. If you see the URL, so this is my API's first point, right? But along with the response, which is this Pokemons, I am also getting this thing called next. Next means this is the URL, absolute URL for my next page. If I copy and paste it here, this URL, I can just show you. Let's say this is my response. If I hit here, I will get another 20 records from 21 to 40. See, it starts from 21, it goes till 40. Make sense? And in the next, I will get the URL for the next page. So that means in every response, I have the absolute URL for my next page. This is the pagination rule that I can use here. Okay. Okay. Makes sense. So I can simply pick absolute URL. Okay. And value is equals to body because this is the body response. And what object of the body that we are using, it's called next. Okay. So let's copy and paste it here next. If you do not want to put anything here, you can simply say none and you can simply say $.next. Dollar means like your body. But if we have body, obviously you can just pick it and next is fine. Okay, makes sense. Now if I simply run this debug, what will happen? It will apply pagination rule as per the next URL. So what it will do, it will keep on hitting to that endpoint until it sees null in the next URL. That means it has recorded all the pages. That's how it works with pagination rules. This is one way of doing it. This is what? One way of doing it. Okay. So obviously it takes time because now it is just hitting to all the endpoints, but it is automatic. We are not taking care of anything. And see, within 19 seconds, it is done. And it has just copied 66 objects. 65, 66, same thing. Okay. Now if I see here and if I just refresh it, it will simply overwrite this file. See, now it is of 97 KB. If I click on open and edit, I will see so many records, almost all the records, 1302. And I can even see null here in the next URL. See, next null. That means it will keep on hitting to this particular URL until it sees null. See, null. So that means it will keep on hitting to this particular endpoint automatically. Automatically. We literally do not need to do anything. Automatically. Okay. This is one way of doing it. Okay. Sometimes your API builders, your API developers will not give you the URL to the next page in your response. What you will do in that particular scenario? So in that particular scenario, you have to use something called as offset. What is offset? So let me just tell you. If I hit to this page, let me just hit enter. This is my response. Okay. And let me just zoom it a little bit. Here you are seeing this is the response. Okay. So by default, the offset is 0. Let me just add it. It is called query parameter. Again, the fundamentals of, you can say, APIs. If you do not have that clear, you can simply get it clear. It's like very easy. So query parameters are like, you can say, whenever you just pass anything within the URL, that gets pulled, okay, in your API. And usually in all the APIs, we create some query parameters called offset. So if I say offset equals 0, so if I try to hit this particular endpoint, so what will happen? This will go to the API, okay, and this offset value will be fetched along with this particular endpoint, and it will be used to determine what we need to return. Not we, the API developer. Make sense? Can we use anything like this? Let's say offset new. No, you have to put the same variable name, because you cannot decide this, because it will again create a mess if you put a different name. Because if let's say there's a Flask API, so obviously that Flask API cannot determine like what is offset new, because they already know the functions called as offset. That's it. Okay, if I try to hit this, I will land on the same page. That means the first offset is 0. If I say offset 20, I will land on the second page, because see, this is the 40th. This is the 40th. That means 21 to 40. If I say offset 40, I will land on the third page. So basically offset value is, it goes by 20, 20, 20. And how do I know that I need to increase this by 20? Because the limit is 20. So in the initial API call, we know that limit is 20 and offset is always 0. So this is the value 0 to 20. Okay. Now in the next particular, you can say, call, we know that limit is still 20. Okay, but this time we don't need to start from 0. We will simply say start from 20. Start from what? 20. Simple. Makes sense? So it will go till 20 and it will add 20 into it. That means 40. Then again, the limit is 20. Now this time it will start from 40. So 40 plus 20, that means 60. So this way we can just manually increment it if this particular API is not available in the response. So how we can just approach it? We need to simply create the API URL, and we need to create a variable for this, normal variable like this. Let's say offset, like your f string, not like dedicated variable in ADF, normally a variable offset. And then we can simply pass this value using range function in the Python. It's similar to that one as well. So range function. Range is very simple. It will start from 0. It will go to 1302. That is a maximum count. Okay. 1302. And we need to increment it by 20. So it is just like, you can say, a for loop that we run, but within the pagination rules, not additionally. Okay. So let's see how we can just achieve it. So I'll simply go to copy data, delete the existing particular rule. Let's add a new rule. And this time we'll simply pick query parameters. Okay. And what will be the parameter, or basically variable name? It's called offset. Okay. Now here we will simply say range. Okay. The start is basically, we know that 0. Okay. End is this one, and we have offset value as well, but I don't want to hard code it because I love to just keep everything dynamic. So what I will do, I can use the output of this thing to decide the total number of records. If you see the output of endpoint, you have something called as count, right? So this is my total number of records. So I can simply use this one. Simply go here, click on add dynamic content, and you can simply say maybe range, or I think I can do one more thing. Let's say for now you can simply say 0, 1302 and by 20. Why I have done that? To just get the dynamic code. I can simply go to the code and I can simply see how it is using it. Okay, so I need to simply do like this. Perfect. That's how you can just play smart, even if you do not know what to write in the expression builder. So now I can simply write it like this. Range 0, this is fixed. Instead of writing it 1302, I can simply say endpoint like this. Perfect. Simple. We are not hard coding anything. We are simply using dynamic values. Okay. Then output, then obviously dot count. Output dot count. Make sense? Perfect. And here it is 20. It is fine because we know the value. But if you do not want to keep it hard coded, you can simply write it like limit by just going here. So if you just go here in the output, you will see something called as results limit should be there. Like you can just fetch this particular value as well, but I just want to keep it as it is because limit will be same for all the URLs, similar URLs, not all the URLs, similar URLs. Okay, makes sense? Because let's say you are just trying to hit all the Oracle APIs. So limit will be same for all the Oracle APIs. If you just want to hit, let's say any other URL, so the limit will be same for all those URLs. This is the nature of API. In most of the cases, obviously exceptions are already always there. So let's see if it works or not. But we just need to do one more thing. We need to go to source and in the base URL. Okay, because we have, see here we have defined that we have offset variable. So we have to first of all make offset. Okay, so just click here and just click on open, and here you will see relative URL. You can simply write like this. Click on this question mark and then offset. That's it. That's it. Or basically offset equals to, you can simply write like this. Let's say offset equals to offset. Okay. Because this offset value will be dynamically changing. See, because this is like hard coded offset because this is the part of URL offset, and this 40, 20, 60 will be dynamically changing. See, like this. Let's see if it works. Let me say publish all, or basically comment this. Okay. Now let's click on debug. Let's see. I think it should work. So this is basically all the ways that you use to hit the API endpoints. Make sense? Make sense, make sense, make sense. So it is in progress. And let's see. It takes a little bit more time as compared to the previous method, but it is much more better than previous one because you will not every time see the full URL or basically absolute URL in your all the calls. Okay, so let's see. Perfect, it worked fine. And I hope you understood the concept, like what we have done. So basically in the copy activity, we simply created the offset parameter. So basically in the open, we have this particular URL. So base URL is till Pokemon, and then relative URL, that means the rest of the URL is like this, offset equals to 40, 20, 60. So we need to dynamically change this value 40, 60, 20, 80, this one. Okay, so we simply provided this part in the relative URL, and here in this particular offset we created a variable, simple variable, curly braces offset, and this value is actually populated with the help of this range function. It started from 0, it goes until 1302, and it incremented by 20. Make sense? Make sense. So this is how you create your, or basically pull all the data from the APIs using pagination rules as well. And trust me bro, this is very, very, very important because APIs are the backbone right now, and you can literally expect a lot of questions related to APIs in your interviews as well. So yes, I hope you learned a lot in this APIs. Okay, so now what's next? What's next? What we are going to discuss next? We have like ingestion, REST API. What's next? So next thing is very, very fun. Okay, because next thing is like purely based on ad hoc analysis that we do usually, or you can say pipelines which are not directly related to your warehouse but are directly related to some business requirements and all those things. So basically, let me just tell you the scenario. So the scenario is very simple. We will be having 2 to 3 different files. Let's say 3 files. Okay. Now based on 3 files, we have 3 destinations. Okay. we need to make sure that we are simply distributing the data as per the location. So for example, if I have orders file, so it will go to the orders destination folder. If we have like products file, it will go to the products destination folder. So we need to simply route the files as per the file name or basically folder name. Makes sense? Sounds simple? It is very simple, but yeah, it is a kind of, you can say, router pipeline that we need to create. Okay, and we'll be just using for loop, we'll be just using switch activity within that, so it is like fun. So let's try to build that, and let me just close all the unnecessary tabs. Perfect. So here we need to start with our, you can say, source. So in the source we will simply create one directory, and it's called, let's say, files. Okay, files. Okay, makes sense. So within this directory we will upload, let's say, 3 files. And where are the 3 files? In my GitHub repo. Let me just show you. So here in this particular pipeline, what we're gonna do, you will get to know in detail, but you have some understanding that we gonna build something for routing. Okay, so we have here 3 CSV files: customers.csv, drivers.csv, and trips.csv. You can actually download these 3 files, okay, from this repo. And what I'm gonna do, I will simply upload these 3 files. Okay, let me just do that. So I have uploaded these 3 files here: customers, drivers, and trips. Make sense? Very good. So now let's build our third pipeline. Basically 4th, but yeah, 1 was just scheduled. So this will be, let's say, router. This will be a router pipeline. Okay. Okay, perfect. So first of all, I want to just show you the power of one activity called get metadata. Okay, what is this activity? So this activity is very handy when you want to get the metadata. What is metadata? Metadata means data about data. That means some kind of useful information about your data. Make sense? For example, this is your data, this is your data, this is your data. Now what is the metadata? That means some useful information about your data. That means file name, something called as size, something called as extension. All these things are metadata. Make sense? So now what we're going to do, we will simply try to fetch the metadata of this whole folder, which is called files. So what we'll get inside this metadata, we can get files available, all those things, right? So let's actually do that. I will simply say get metadata. This name is perfect. Let's go to settings. Let's create our new data set. Okay, new data set. Let's say data set is gen 2. Perfect. And this is my CSV. Okay, click on continue, and I will simply say ds meta. Okay, link service is this one. Perfect. First row as header, not really, it's fine. Or you can just pick it because CSV goes well with first row as header. So now we need to simply pick the file path. Okay, so in order to pick the file path, I'll simply say source and then simply pick files. That's it. Do not pick any specific file, just pick the whole folder so that your file name should be empty. Click OK. Make sense? So now you need to simply say field list. That means what kind of metadata you want to fetch. If I click on plus new, I will be having so many options. Child items, that means all the child files that I have. It's called child items. Exist, that means if that folder exists or not. Item name, what is the item name? That means what is the folder name. Item type, what is this? Last modified, and all those things. Okay, simply pick child items and that's it. Do you know what you will see? Let me click on debug. You will see all the files, all the things that are there in the folder, and that's what I want. And this will be in the form of array. Okay, this will be in the form of array. Array means array. Array means array. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's see the output. This is the output. Now you can see that child items is basically a array, right? See, array. So this array we can use to pass into any kind of loop. Makes sense. Makes sense. And what do we have in the array? We have literally everything. Everything means name, 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 type, type, type. Okay. So that means I can literally get to know what exactly do I have within this particular folder. Perfect. Very good. So do you know what do I need to use now? What do I want to do? I want to use this array. Okay. I want to use this array. Where? I want to use this array in a loop. And we have an activity called for each. For each means for loop in ADF. Okay. Simply say for each. This is the thing. Simply connect it like this. For each is nothing but your for loop. Simple. For loop. So for loop means you need to iterate over an array. Make sense? And here I can simply say for each file. Make sense? If I go to settings, it will ask me sequential. Do you want to just run your for loop in sequence? Not really, because I want parallelism. Okay. Batch count is fine. Okay. Then items. Let's try to see items. What do we need to pass as an array? Array will be output of this thing. You can simply say get metadata child items. See? So now this array will be passed in the loop. Wow. This is literally good. Makes sense? By the way, I love this new UI that they have created. Okay, this is for each. Makes sense. Now, what activity we want to perform? Let's go to activity, click on pencil. Now we are inside this for each loop. Make sense? Very good. Now we will be using a router and the activity is called switch. Switch activity is like your switch case. Obviously, we do not have switch case in Python. Like we have in switch case in Python, but it was recently added. It was not there before. So switch case. Switch case means it will simply switch as per the input. And I can just rename it as, let's say, switch files, or basically switch file. So what I will do with this activity, we know that we have a loop, for loop, right? And it is iterating over an array. Simple dimple. Okay. So let's say we are using the first element of the array. First element of the array. And the first element of the array is, let's say, this file name. As we all know, the first element is, let's say, this customers.csv. Then we have drivers.csv. Then we have trips.csv. But let's say this is the first element and this will go to the switch activity, right? So what we can do here inside the switch activity, I can write an expression. Okay, I can write an expression. Expression means what will be the input for this switch activity? I can simply say @input dot name. What is this? What is this? @input, not input, item. Input is in Databricks. Yeah. Item.name. What is this item? So whenever you run a for loop, you simply write like this, right? Like say for I in any array. Okay. And if you just want to use anything, you simply say I.name, right? This I is nothing but your item. That's it. Simple, simple, simple explanation. Your I is your item. Simple. Okay. I.name. But that's not everything, because this will give me the whole name. Customers.csv, drivers.csv, and all those things. I don't want .csv. So what I can do, I can simply, let's say, let me just check if I have any functions for splitting. Let's say string functions. If we have replace, yes, we have replace function. Okay, so we can just use replace. I will simply say replace this whole thing, which is drivers.csv or customers.csv. Okay, not this thing, because I think we have split, so split is good. We can use split. Okay, so split will split it in the form of list. Makes sense. Okay, and we want to split on the base of, you can say, dot CSV, or basically dot. Make sense? So what it will do, it will simply split the whole thing into a list, and then we can simply get the 0th element, which is the file name. Make sense? So what this will return, it will simply take the item.name, which is the whole name, then we will split it on the base of dot, and then it will create a list of two things, customers and CSV, customers and CSV, customers and CSV. Simple. And then you can simply fetch the 0th element of that. Make sense? Click on OK. Okay, now let's say if we have here the value is, this is default case, it is fine. And now I can simply write my own case. Let's say add case. So if it is called as customers, okay, and let me just delete it. Default case, we can keep it or we can delete it as well, but it's fine. We want to create another case, let's say drivers, and then another case, let's say trips. Make sense? Okay, so these are three different cases. Okay, now I will simply say pencil and I will create a copy activity. Okay, I want to create a copy activity. Make sense? I will simply say copy customers. Okay, then source dataset. Source dataset is nothing but very simple. So here we know that we'll be just simply copying the data. Okay, so here it is called DS meta. So let's create another data set. It's called Azure Data Lake, Storage Gen 2. And this time we'll be creating a dynamic data set and you will see the power of it. Let me just show you. So here I will simply say DS CSV dynamic. Okay, link service is same. First row as header and that's it. Simply say okay. Oh really? You can just say source or basically sync. Okay, and here we do not have anything, so I will simply say sync and then let's say customers. Okay, customers, and file name, just keep it as it is, or you can just click on advanced and then open this data set. So the thing is, let's say none first of all and then okay. So the thing is, this is my data set. Okay, click on open, and this is the area where we can just make our data set dynamic. So the thing is, let's say we have three copy activities. So in that particular scenario, we'll be just creating three different data sets, and I do not want to do that. What I can do, I can use the same, basically literally same data set, and I can simply, you can say, use the same data set for my all the ingestion. Let me just show you. Click on browse, click on source. So we know that source folder will be same, then files folder will be same, then the file will be different, right? These things will be different. So click on OK, and now we have source the same, files the same. That is fine. That is literally fine. But here in the file name, we can literally put anything, So the best practice is you can simply create a dataset for CSV and you can simply put here parameters. Literally, yes, you can simply put here parameters so that you do not need to create multiple datasets, because in the real world, we do not create so many datasets. We simply create a dynamic dataset, and this is the best time to learn that. So I will simply go to parameters and I'll simply create three parameters: P container, P folder, and then P file. Make sense? Okay. Then go to connection and here add dynamic content and pick P container, and here P files, and here, oh sorry, P file here, and then here P folder. Perfect. So this is now pure dynamic. This is what? This is dynamic. Okay, so let me just save it, publish all, or we can just publish it later on as well. But yeah, let's do that because I know like it will not allow me to do that, but it's fine. Okay, so okay, perfect. Yeah, we know that. So now we have our this particular data set which is dynamic. So do you know what it will do? It will every time ask me what is the container name, what is the folder name, what is the file name. So this way I do not need to create so many data sets again and again. I can simply use this one and I can simply provide different values in different areas. That's how we do data, like create data sets in the real world. Okay, so we know that container is source, and folder is files. And the file, what is the file name? Just tell me. What is the file name? You already know. Item.name. Okay, the full name. Perfect. Here you do not need to split it because we want the full name. Make sense? Now the sync. You will simply pick DS dynamic, simple. And here you can simply put the value, let's say sync, and here customers. And here the value will be, let's say customers.csv, the same thing. This is the power of dynamic data sets. Okay, very good. That's how you create dynamic data sets. Simple, right? So now this is done, right? Very good. So this is like just one copy activity. Let me just go inside it and let me just copy this one, because this will be the same thing in all the other things. Let's say for drivers, it will be same, but just one change. And what's that? Obviously the name, drivers. Okay, and here you need to simply change this name. Actually not, because this will simply take the name, item.name, and it will go to this thing. We just need to change the folder name here. Let's say this one. So this will be, let's say drivers. That's it, right? Now the third thing is trips. Same thing. Just do it like this. Copy trips. Perfect. And simply change the folder. And you know like what we are doing here, right? Simple. Simple. We have get metadata and we have for each, and within that we have switch case. Yes, this is a little bit complex, but this is what we need to do. Okay, this is like special ad hoc requirements that we have. Okay, makes sense. So we need to just create this activity. Basically we need to do this stuff based on the, you can say, folder names. Okay, let's try to actually run this and let's see what happens. Let's see. And in the sync side, we do not have anything, right? And now we are expecting to just create multiple folders based on the file name, if everything is fine. If not, we need to just look at the bugs and need to fix it. Get metadata is done, and you can see all the activities are running in parallel. Why? Because we have provided the parallelism in the for each. Makes sense? So now it is just copying all the data dynamically based on the file name. See, customers is already done, trips is already done, and drivers is almost done. Yeah, perfect. Our pipeline is all done. Very good to see all greens in one go. Okay, if I refresh it, I will see 3 different folders, and if I just open, let's say customers, I will see customers.csv. Here if I see drivers, drivers.csv. If I open trips.csv. So it is like pure dynamic based on the source. So we do not need to worry about anything. We do not need to create different pipelines for different ingestion. No, we will simply pass that array in the loop, and that loop will take care in the switch case, like how it needs to perform. Simple, right? Simple. And how we just provided the name using split function, and then we simply pass this customers.csv. Now you can ask me, Ansh, Lamba, why didn't you just write customers.csv? Sometimes it throws errors because it does not like any kind of special characters here in the names. Okay, so that is why I trimmed that particular thing. Make sense? Okay, good. So this pipeline is completed. Very good. Now I want to just add one more thing that you will like, I am so sure. So remember, we were just talking about storage events. Remember, like there's a trigger type which is called storage events, which triggers the pipeline based on any kind of action. Yes, we know that we do not use storage events frequently, because obviously there's a cost associated to it. Plus it is not enabled in all the free subscriptions. There are like so many things, right? But I want you to learn something similar. So let's say I want to run this pipeline on a special request. What kind of request? For example, there is a folder called here trigger. Let's create that. Trigger. Okay, trigger. So here I will upload a file. So I want this pipeline to run based on this file. So let's say whenever I'll be uploading the file here, then only this pipeline should be triggered. How can we do that? It's very simple. There's an activity called validation. Okay, so what this activity will do, this will validate it. So let me just first of all rename it validate. Okay, and then go to settings. So it will simply ask me for the data set. Let's use our data set of dynamic. See, this is the power of dynamic data set. I can just literally use this DS anywhere, literally anywhere. Wow. So simply go to source, and within the source we have a folder called trigger. Okay, and then we have the file. We can literally put any file, but let's say I will be just putting locations.csv. Just let's say, okay. So this is the file. So do you know what will happen? Currently we do not have this locations.csv, right? So if I just currently debug this pipeline, it will keep on searching this file. Okay, it will keep on searching this file and it will be running it, and it will not go to the next step because it is still finding this particular file. See, it will keep on running. It will keep on running. See, in progress, in progress, in progress. Now let me just upload that file in my data lake. I have that file. Let me just upload that. This is the file locations.csv, and this is also available in GitHub. I will upload it, don't worry. If I say upload button, okay, you will see that this was not running. Okay, this is still like in progress. You can see that the moment I click on upload, okay, now this file is there. Now this file will find it. Okay, like this activity will find this file. Okay, just refresh, and now it can just go to the next activities. Everything is fine. Sometimes it takes time because it keeps on looking for that particular file. If we have that file, yes, we have that file locations.csv inside trigger. Okay, this is source, trigger, locations, or location. Let me just copy the name. Okay, see, it ran actually. I was right, like it takes some time sometimes. So see, this is now running this particular file. So the moment it just finds this particular file, it actually ran the subsequent activities. Oh, okay. So this is the advantage of using the validation activity. So let's say your further activities or basically further pipeline is dependent on this particular call. Basically this acts as a green light that you need. So let's say there's a special requirement from your manager, and your manager says, hey, you need to, yes, process everything, but the moment I push any new file, let's say, make sense? Make sense? So now you will say, Ansh, Lamba, you have provided this particular thing, but what will happen on the next run? Because it will keep on running the thing, right? Because now we have the file. Yes. So now how manager will just upload the new file and how it will be just looking for it? Very good question. So for that, we will use something called as delete activity. Once this everything is done, okay, we can simply delete that file because our process is completed. We can simply say dataset DSCSV dynamic. This will be source, then trigger, then that file locations.csv. Let's run this for one more time, and you will see. What is this? Logging? No, we do not need to log anything. So let me remove the logging. Enable logging? No. Simply say debug. So what will happen? We already know that this will run fine because we already have this file here. But after the processing is completed, this will be deleted automatically. Okay, let's see. Let's see. So this is done. Now get metadata is done. So what will happen after this? So next time, whenever the manager will upload the new file, only then this pipeline will be running. It will not be just keep on running again and again. Make sense? Make sense? Okay, good. And you can even set the timeout value. Currently it is just like 12 hours. You can just set it, let's say 1 hour, 2 hour, because let's say your manager will be uploading a file between 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. but it is not fixed because your manager is like super busy. I don't know where, but yeah, let's say super busy. Okay, so let's say your manager will be uploading the file around 12 to 4 p.m. You can schedule this whole pipeline, okay, for let's say 11:45. Okay, makes sense. Or 11:50, 11:55 p.m. or not p.m. a.m. Okay, let's say 11:45 a.m. And what will happen? This activity will be triggered, this one. And the moment your manager has uploaded a file between 12 to 4 p.m., this whole pipeline will be running. This whole pipeline will be running only when your manager will be uploading the file. That's it. And what should be the timeout value here? Obviously 4 hours, because your manager said that he will or she will be uploading the file between 12 to 4. If it is like after 4, then it's off. It's off because obviously we need to save our computer, right? I know like validation activity will not be consuming a lot of resources, but still we cannot just keep on pipeline running, right? So you can simply put the timeout value as 4. That's it. The moment you put the timeout value as 4, it's fine. So that's how you build ad hoc pipelines, or you can say ad hoc request pipelines for your ad hoc analysis. Make sense? I know this was like super cool. So let's see this has deleted the file or not. Perfect. It has deleted the file. So this is done. So now let's say tomorrow this pipeline will be running around 12 p.m. Okay. And then it will simply look for that file again. Make sense? How was it? How was it? How was it? Was it good? Was it good? Obviously it is good. So let's say publish all, and very good. And I am happy that first of all, you are learning about so many different activities: validate, get metadata, switch, for each, delete, ingestion pipeline, API, copy activity, variables. First of all, I'm happy about this. Second thing is, you are not just learning about what is this activity, what this activity does. No, you are actually learning how to integrate these activities to build the end-to-end real world pipeline. Because see, all these scenarios are real world scenarios what we perform in the industry. So that's why I'm double happy, and I'll be become triple happy when you will just drop your lovely comment in the comment section. I don't know why you are not doing that, bro. So this is all about, you can say, our ad hoc pipelines. So let's see what do we have next. So now it's time to look at a very important step, and this is, you can say, very useful when you want to build up pipelines which are dependent on the schema. Yes, schema. Because do you know what? When you build the pipelines in the real world, we need to fit the schema as it is defined. Okay, so let's try to create that pipeline, and we will just call it as, let's say, schema. Okay, schema pipeline. So for example, let me just share the scenario. Okay, so the scenario is very simple. Let's say we want to copy the data, and you already know, now you are a pro developer. I know that you know like how to copy the data. Let's say you have this copy activity. Okay, and you have two different sources, 1 and 2. Let's say 1, 2. Okay, and you want to dump this data obviously in 2 different locations. That is fine. You will say, hey, it is so easy. I know how to do that. I know you know how to do that. But the thing is, this time it is very different. Okay, how? Let me just tell you how. Basically, this is the source. Okay, this is the source, this is the source, and you can simply dump this data to this particular location easily. I know that. But you know what? You need to do one more thing. Rather than just dumping the data, you need to make sure that the schema of this source, okay, because obviously there'll be like so many files in the future, we'll be just updating the files, right? The schema of this file should be exactly same as it was defined during the configuration. If it has one less column, it should fail. If it has one more column, it should fail. If it has any other data type, it should fail. Strict schema validation. Okay, how you can just do that? How? Now you will say, this is very complex, and we have to build 2 different pipelines for it, because we have to define the schema. Not really. I will just let you know how you can just do it within one pipeline. Okay, let's do that. So basically, I will simply say copy data, or let's say data load. Okay, data load. Perfect. Now this is the copy data activity, right? Okay, what is the source? Let's say we want to load that particular data, which is CSV dynamic, container is source, okay, folder is, let's say, files, okay, and file name is, let's say, customers.csv. okay, customers.csv. Then sync will be, let's say, this one, and pick the sync container folder, let's say schema, okay, and this is the file name, which is called customers.csv. Makes sense? Now you need to click on mapping, okay, and just click on import schema. Do you know what will happen? it will fail. But why? Why? It is saying files and customer.csv. Obviously, we do not have any customer.csv. It is customers.csv. Just say import schemas. So this is the schema of the file. See, this is the schema of the file. Okay. So this is the schema, and this schema should be same for all the future pipeline runs. Okay. For all the future pipeline runs as well. Okay. And this can be fit only one time. You cannot now run a loop here. You will simply say, hey, I can simply run a loop and I can simply run the mapping. It will fail. Why? Because see, this mapping is just for the customer's data, right? This is not for trips and this is not for your other file drivers. This is just for customers, right? Only customers' data. That means this copy activity will only run for customers. Oh, now we got the issue. Exactly. So do you know how we can just deal with this thing? We need to do something that obviously will be just running a loop because we have multiple files, but we need to create some functionality which will pass the dynamic mapping as well. It's called dynamic mapping. Make sense? Dynamic mapping. So how we can just do that? You can simply import the schema, okay, and simply click on this code and just simply scroll down and you will see tabular translator, I guess. I think so. Yeah, this one. You need to simply copy the code from translator. Okay. This whole dictionary. Simply copy it. And you need to copy it till, I guess, sourcing. I think till here. Till here, I guess. No, not this one. Okay, this one. Maybe this one. Yes. So you need to copy this whole code from translator. Okay, this is the translator key and this is ending here. After mappings is a list, and after list we have these keys as well. Okay. Oh, wait. Let me see. So this is a translator key. Okay. Then we have this key, this value, then this key, this value, and this is basically the whole list. Okay. Makes sense. And after this list ends, we have, okay, more keys, and then this. I think this is still here. I think so. Till here, I guess. No. I think this is still here. Yeah, it's fine. So you need to copy this whole thing, this code, and simply copy and paste it in the parameters. And this will be called as customers schema. Okay, and this will be of the JSON type, basically object type. Okay, and simply paste the value here. Perfect. Okay, now simply change the source and now just write drivers. Okay, now click on mapping and import its mapping. Okay, so this is the driver mapping. Do the same step here. Just copy this thing. Perfect. And paste it here in the parameters. This will be called driver schema. Okay, and object type. Perfect. And this is fine. Perfect. Now let's do for last file, which is called trips. Okay, let's do import schema. Okay, just copy the thing. So there are basically two ways. You can obviously write this whole particular JSON. It's not a big deal. But if you just want to save your time, you can just do it like this, because this schema will be just configured in the beginning and after that it will be just automated. That's it. So the choice is yours. Okay, so now let's save our this particular thing as well. Trips schema. Now some ultra pro legendary people will ask one question. I know that. Hey Ansh, Lamba, if we have, let's say, hundreds of files, how we can just do that? Bro, if you have hundreds of files, okay, so let me just tell you how you can just do that. Instead of creating all the parameters here, you can simply create a JSON file in which you can simply define your array. Make sense? And then you can simply use it. Second thing, you can even create a table, SQL table, where you can store this information. Third option is this parameters. It totally depends. My duty is to just make you aware how you can just do the things. Creativity is in your hands. There's no hard and set rule how to achieve the things, but you need to know what is the backbone behind achieving something. Once you know the backbone, you can simply provide some great outfits. You can simply provide some cool stuff. Obviously, like, sky is the limit. Okay, you can be more creative than me, I know that. So currently we have 3 files, so it is not a big deal. So I have simply created parameters. If I would be having, let's say, hundreds of files, I will rather go with a table. I will simply create a, you can say, table. And I'm not a big fan of SQL tables. Okay, I will simply create a JSON in which I will simply create a key value pairs, like let's say customer CSV, the driver, trips, like this. Make sense? Okay, so now what we need to do, this 50% of the work is done. Okay, so now what we need to do, we will simply first of all delete this particular activity. Okay, because our work was still here, we just wanted to get the code. Now we will simply create one activity called get metadata. Okay, and this get metadata will bring the metadata of that particular folder. Okay, and this is not dynamic, so we have dedicated schema. This one, yes, perfect, ds meta. Okay, so let's pick this one. So this will give me all the child items. Okay, then I will simply say for each, and let's connect it. I'll simply say for each file. Okay, let's go inside it, and what will be the, this one, child items. Perfect. So let's go inside it. Okay, so now we need to create a copy activity. Makes sense? We'll simply say data load. Okay, now what is the source? Source is dynamic, we already know. Okay, the source is, let's say, source, then folder is, we all know, files. And what will be the file name? Item.name, right? We have just done that. Okay, perfect, item.name. Now in the sync side, on the sync side, we will simply pick the same data set and we'll simply say container is whatever container you want to pick, sync, and let's say schema. Okay, and within the schema we will create these files. Let's say item.name. So we are not creating different folders, it's fine. You can simply create one folder and obviously different files. Item.name. Perfect, very good. Now comes the mapping. What will be the mapping? Because we cannot say import schema, because it will simply work for only one file. You will simply click on add dynamic content. Okay, and here you will simply pick that schema, but it's not very straightforward, because you need to make sure you are picking the right schema for right file type. So I will simply say equals, okay, equals. I will simply take the file name. Okay, what is the file name? Item.name. If it is equals to, let's say, customers.csv. Okay, if both are equal, and if this is the case, okay, then what I will do, and by the way I need to pick single quotes. Okay, then if this is the case, equals does not accept 3 parameters. Okay, so if it is equivalent to, let's say, name is equivalent to CSV, then this will simply return me true and false. See, expression of type boolean does not match the field mapping v2, we know that. So this will simply give me true and false. Okay, if this is true, if this is true, okay, because this is the condition, right? If this is true, what do I need to pick? I need to simply pick my customer schema, right? Remember? Make sense? If this is false, I will again start another if condition. This is the nested if condition. So I'll simply copy and paste it from here. Let's say equals, and I'll simply say if close, and then this, and here it will be like drivers.csv. If this is equivalent to driver, then drivers.schema. Okay, if not, then trips.schema. Make sense? Something is wrong, missing and closing parenthesis, maybe this one. Yeah, perfect. So do you know what it is doing? See, first of all, if condition, if this condition is true, equals item name dot schema pipeline, this one. If this name is equivalent to customers.csv, then it will simply pick customer schema. If this is false, it will again start another if condition. And if you have some experience with your Excel, I think it is same, nested if. If you have some experience with programming language, it is same, just the syntax is different. So if equals item.name drivers.csv, then pick driver schema. If not, simply pick pipeline parameters and simply close the if and then the parent if. That's it. Simply click on OK. So that's how we provide that dynamic schema to each file. Was it helpful? Was it helpful? I know it is. I know it is. Okay. So let's try to debug it and let's see. Get metadata cannot be empty. Obviously, we need to pick the field list as child items. Perfect. Just say debug. Perfect. So now let's see if it works or not. Okay. I think it should work. Unless we have any kind of typo. Makes sense, makes sense, makes sense. So let's see. And I hope you are learning all the different types of pipelines that we have. That is why I thought of creating this Data Factory Pro course, because I know that you would have watched so many tutorials. I know like those tutorials are very, very good, but now it's time to level up, right? It's time to level up. Data Factory Pro course. Okay, perfect. All the 3 files are done and you want to see the results. Let me just show you the results. Let's go to sync. Let's go to schema and we have 3 different files and all the files are having different schema. See, customer.csv. If I click on edit, this is having customer schema. If I have drivers.csv, I am having driver schema. For trips, this is having trip schema. Make sense? Make sense? Make sense? That's how you create dynamic pipelines. Not just dynamic pipelines, this is like one step ahead. Dynamic schema or basically dynamic mappings pipeline. Make sense? Make sense? Make sense? Okay, very good. Let's publish this thing as well. Okay, perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. So now what we need to do, we need to now learn about a very, very, very important concept is called CI/CD. Basically, you can say how we can just enable Git with our data factory. Are you excited to do that? Okay, let's try to first of all understand how Git works within Data Factory, because Git goes with something called as coding, right? When you just write the code, when you have some files to compare. But this is like just drag and drop, how you can just compare the files and how branches work in Data Factory. Let me just tell you how branches work in Data Factory and how we can just enable Data Factory Git. Okay, let's do that. Finally, CI/CD in Azure Data Factory. So let's talk about this. It's very, very simple. It might look difficult, but it's very simple. So first of all, I would expect some Git knowledge, some Git concepts that you should know. Okay, if you don't know, just go on YouTube, just search GitHub full course Ansh Lamba. You will find the best video for data engineers, because the thing is, Git is for everyone and obviously for software engineers. So all of the concepts that you need to learn from the data engineer perspective. Okay, and that video that I have created for GitHub for data engineers, basically full course, you as a data engineer need to watch that video, because that video is, let's say, built for you. Okay, so just go and check out that video. You will understand everything if you just want to master Git, because you should master Git in 2025. And 2025 is almost like over, right? So it's 2026. So what are you doing? You should know about Git. And it's an amazing course. Okay, so just go and check it out. But I do not want you to just first complete the video before covering this part. It's a good to have skill. Okay, so let's start talking about CI/CD in Azure Data Factory. So basically, what do we do? Whatever we are developing so far, I am the only developer in my data factory. That is why everything is going smoothly. But let's say there is another developer. Let's say there is another developer. Let's say there is another developer. So in that particular scenario, that can actually create a mess. Because let's say I have created a pipeline and I saved it. And at the same time, some other developer also opened that same pipeline and did something else and saved it. So it will create conflicts and it will lead to unwanted results, right? So that is why we have to enable Git. Okay, Git is just like a version control system. in which we can just go back in time whenever we want. Plus we can just work with different branches, which is called, you can say, Git branching. Okay. They're like a package that we get with the Git. Okay. So for example, let's say this is our development data factory workspace. Okay. So we configure this particular data factory with Git, like with any Git provider. It can be Azure DevOps, it can be GitHub, it can be anything. Okay, perfect. So when you configure your data factory with Git, that means this particular data factory is actually linked to this remote repo. Okay, this will become your remote repo, this thing. And whatever you develop within this data factory, you create branches. Okay, so you will create, let's say, a one branch. Let's say this branch is like Ansh. Okay, let's say this branch is, let's say, any other branch. Let's say Bulbasaur. Okay, so there's another branch. Okay, so whatever development that I will be doing here, whatever development will not conflict with this Bulbasaur development. Okay, no, because both are independent, isolated branches. And what is this red thing? What is this thing? This is called main branch. So what we do, we simply write our code. Okay, we simply create commits. Commits are basically the checkpoints, okay, that we do. And then we simply merge this particular development with this particular main branch like this. And this Bulbasaur will just do it like this. So that's how we create commits on the main branch, and we do our development in the feature branches. This is the concept of Git in Data Factory. Okay. Once we are happy with our development, once we have merged everything into the main, now we can just publish it. So far we were able to directly publish the whole development, right? Just click on publish and ta-da, publish is done. But now whenever we'll be just publishing the development, it will do something else. What's that? So when we hit this publish button, it will create something called as, you can say, templates, YAML templates in our workspace publish, or you can say ADF publish branch. So what is this branch? This will be automatically created for us, and this ADF publish branch will hold ADF publish. Okay, ADF publish branch will hold the whole code of this development, and this particular branch will be having the templates. Okay, YAML templates, and this particular branch will be used by the DevOps engineers. Okay, DevOps engineers to create the deployment pipelines. Make sense? Deployment pipelines. It can be your GitHub actions if they are using GitHub. It can be Azure DevOps release pipelines if they are using Azure DevOps. So it totally depends. And this is not a work that you should do. You are a data engineer, you are not a DevOps guy. But yes, you should know till here how to create this ADF publish branch, because after that DevOps guy will come into the picture. But I know in some organization where they do not have dedicated roles, so they can ask data engineers, hey, can you just build this DevOps pipeline? Hey, can you just do this? Can you just do that? First of all, it is not your role. Second thing is, if let's say they are asking you to do that, that means they are expecting you to become a DevOps engineer for that as well. So you need to accept this fact. Okay, this is not a data engineering stuff. This is purely a DevOps engineering stuff. What? Only the deployment pipelines. But yes, till ADF publish, it is your task. Okay. So now in the organization where they do ask about deploying the stuff from data engineers, the senior data engineer will be deploying those things. Why? Because obviously it brings some responsibility to deploy the things in QA and production environment. Okay. So if you are new, you do not need to worry about that. If you are an experienced one, then obviously you should learn about those deployment thing, but that is just purely a DevOps thing. Okay. And you need to accept, hey, I am learning DevOps concepts and I'm entering into the DevOps area as well along with the data engineering. You need to accept this. Okay, then you can just learn better. Do not feel like DevOps is also your thing. Not just because, like, let's say your organization is asking you to do that, does not mean like it falls under data engineering. No, not at all, not at all. But yes, in today's world, I know like world is becoming more and more competitive. It's good to know skill. Okay, Again, there are so many tools, Jenkins, your GitHub, your Azure DevOps. So it's your call, whatever tool you want to learn. And it totally depends like which tool your organization is using, because it will be better to use the same thing. That's all I can say. But creating this ADF publish branch is like generic thing for all the deployment frameworks or deployment tools your company organization uses. Make sense? So you need to understand the difference, because I know like you can feel confused because of just job descriptions that are written, because I don't know like who writes the job description. They do not even know like what is required, what is being used. They simply go to Google and simply copy and paste the content. I'm so sure, I'm not like saying this thing for all the companies, but I know like there's a growing trend, and you can say on all the job portals where they're simply putting the content and they don't even know like what is required. Like you can literally read the job descriptions. It is written, you need 10 years of experience with Microsoft Fabric. Bro, are you serious? Microsoft Fabric just entered into the domain and it is still not actively used by the companies. 10 years of experience with Microsoft Fabric. Wow, man, slow claps. Slow claps. Again, this happens when non-tech people try to hire, let's say, tech people, right? There's a big gap between this. And I hope with AI it will be solved. Okay, let's see who will solve it. So this is all about your CI/CD in Azure Data Factory. Now we're gonna look at it from the implementation perspective as well. Okay, so there's a small homework. Just say homework. So there's a small homework for you before just jumping on to this section. So I want you to create your GitHub account, because it will be required. We'll be using GitHub. Okay, because I will be just creating a repo in your GitHub, not in my GitHub. You can create in your GitHub. Okay, so just create your GitHub account. It's free. You can simply go on Google, sign up GitHub, and that's it. That's it, sorted. Okay, so let me just try to create a private GitHub repo, because obviously I'll be just pushing the code and there can be some credentials and all. It's not a big deal. I can just delete it, but I just want to show you that how you can just do that as well. It's your call. If you just want to make it public, if you want to make it private, it's fine. Okay, simple dimple, let's do that. So I am here in my GitHub account. I can simply click on new and I can create a private repo. Okay, so let me just scroll down. GitHub repository name, let's say ADF Pro, or let me not add any kind of, you can say, underscores and all. Okay, so I can make it private. Okay, description is fine. Add a readme file, yes, just add a readme file, it's fine. Add git ignore, no, I don't need git ignore. So just create repository. Why did I add readme file? Because it initiates our repository, basically initiates our branch, which is this main branch. Okay, so this is our repository and we'll be just looking at how we can just integrate this with our ADF. Okay, so let me first of all close all the unnecessary tabs and all. Okay, so simply go on manage button. Okay, and let me just close all the tabs here as well. Perfect. So let's go to manage and let's click on git configuration. So here we do not have any kind of git configuration, obviously. Let's say configure. So repository type, it will be GitHub. Okay, and now it is saying GitHub repository owner. Okay, if you click on I button, it will be saying, hey, what should be the GitHub organization or account that owns the repository? Okay, so it is like https github.com and then whatever the name is. The owner is Contoso. Okay, owner is Contoso. This is the name. So in your case, if you see, in my case, it is Ansh Lamba Git. So this is the username. So I just need to copy and paste it here. Make sense? Because this is unique. Okay, simply say continue. In your case, it will be something different, and it can simply, it can ask you to just provide the credentials to authenticate you, and it's fine. Okay, then I can select the repository, or I can even provide the repository link. If I click on repository link, I need to provide, I think, this link, which is this code and then this particular repo. I can even select the repository from here, drop down, and I can simply pick ADF Pro that I have just created. ADF Pro, where is ADF Pro? Where is ADF Pro? Because it was private repo, but that's not a, yeah, ADF Pro, it is here. See, so the moment I picked this particular repo, some things happened. First of all, collaboration branch is main branch. Okay, perfect. ADF publish, this is a branch that will be automatically created that will carry our templates. Okay, and root folder is this one. Perfect. Custom comment and all these things. Simply click on apply. So the moment you will click on apply, everything will be created in your GitHub repo. Really? Yes, we will see it. Don't worry. We will even deploy it. Don't need to worry. Repo connected. Okay, so now if I go to my author branch, you will see it here main branch, and before it was just ADF, right? Now it is saying main branch. That means now whatever I'll be doing it here, it will be directly be done on the main branch. See, this is my main branch and everything is there. If I go to my repo, if I refresh it, everything is here. Data set, factory, linked services, pipeline, trigger, and everything. Makes sense? And if I just click on branches, I have two branches, main, and there should be like one more branch, which is called ADF publish, which will be created when I just hit that, you can say, publish button. Make sense? So for now, it is not there. It will be created by default. Okay, so let's say this is the main branch, and this is the parent branch for all the development work. Okay, and everything is saved here. Now if I, let's say, want to create a feature, or let's say I want to just add more development into it, I can simply click on new branch and I will simply say Ansh. This is my branch. Okay, create branch. So now I am into Ansh branch. What is the benefit of it? Let's say I am creating a new pipeline. Let's say I'm creating a new pipeline and it is just a demo pipeline. Okay. And here I will use an activity called wait. This activity does nothing. It just waits for 1 second. I can even say 10 seconds. Okay. And now I can simply debug it just to make sure everything is fine. Okay. Okay, makes sense. So it will simply wait for 10 seconds. This is the activity that it just waits for 10 seconds. Makes sense. So once the 10 seconds are done, it is completed. Now I can save it. Save means commit. Okay, so I have saved this particular pipeline. Make sense? If I go to main branch, if I just switch to the main branch, I will not see that pipeline here. Why? Because it is only created in my branch. So that's how you and your other developers can work in the isolated environments. They are not conflicting to one another. Make sense? I hope this makes sense. See, this is not here. But let's say I want to merge this branch to main because I am happy with my development. Okay, let's say I'm happy with this pipeline and now I want to merge it. You will say, yeah, it is very easy. Just click on publish. Not really. Now you cannot hit publish button. No. Publish button is only and only allowed from the main branch. Okay. So you have to merge your code, whatever you have done, into the main branch. And how you can just do that? You need to create a pull request. Okay. You need to simply create a pull request. Here you cannot write git merge Ansh, not like this. Okay. So you have to create a pull request. Make sense? Okay. So if you are coming from a Git background, let me just tell you what is happening, because I know like this can be a little bit confusing. So basically this is a kind of your local repo. Okay. This is a kind of local repository. Okay. So when you save it here, that means this is even pushed. You can, if I am just talking about Git, you can say jargons. So you can say you have literally written git push origin Ansh branch. So this particular development is directly available in your GitHub repo. So the moment you hit save or commit, it is equivalent to commit and push. You can think of this thing like this. Commit means commit and push. Commit the thing and push it as well. So that is why if you go to GitHub, if you just refresh it, you will see this branch available here as well. See Ansh. And if you open this branch, you will see that pipeline. If I go to pipeline, you will see that demo.json. And if I open this, I will see the code. This is my pipeline. So that means it is even pushed to the origin. Now, whenever we push our code to remote branch, we have two options. We can either create the pull request from the remote repo, or we can even go directly to the GitHub. So now it's up to me. Best practice is create the pull request from here, but you can even create the pull request from here, from GitHub as well. If you go to ADF Pro, okay, and you can see compare and pull request. Okay, so here you can even create compare and pull request. This is main branch. If you go to Ansh, this is my Ansh branch. So you can even say Ansh had recent pushes 2 minutes ago. I told you it commits and pushes as well directly. So that is why I can compare and pull request from here. But the best practice is create the pull request from here. Same thing. Both the things will take you to the same web page. Okay, if I click here, create pull request, I will land on the GitHub page as well. So that is fine. Okay. Why it is a better approach, because you do not need to specially go to your remote repo. You can directly create a pull request from here. Okay. So now it is saying you can compare. This is the code that we have added in the new feature. If you want to create, you can create pull request and create pull request. And then we will simply merge it, merge pull request and confirm merge. So what just happened? We have merged our code into the main. If I open my ADF Pro, you will see this is my main branch, and this time in the pipeline, I will see that pipeline called demo.json. Perfect. And now if I open the data factory, you will see in the main branch, I have that pipeline. See, demo.json. So that's how we perform our development in the dedicated branches. Then we merge our code. Wow. Yes. Now let's say you are happy with your development. Okay. Everything is fine. Now your code is ready for the release. Okay. You can click on publish button from here. The moment you publish the button, this time it will take you to something different. Click on OK. And this time, obviously it will publish the changes. Then do you know what it will do? It will deploy one-of-one resources. First of all, then it will create the template as well. See, there will be one more notification. Generating templates. See, generating ARM templates. So this ARM templates will be saved in my new branch. Let me just show you. If I go here, if I refresh, so perfect. So ADF publish had recent pushes 21 seconds ago. See, if I go to ADF publish, this is the third branch, which was not there before, but now it has. So it will be holding our whole code, DF Pro DF, which is our data factory resource name, right? If you open this folder, you will see two different folders, global parameters and link templates. And this is like ARM template factory, ARM template parameters. If you open this thing, this is the whole code that is designed, or you can say written, see, for your whole development environment of data factory. See this whole code. So whatever you are doing in drag and drop manner, whatever you are doing is actually a code behind the scenes. See, everything is a code, but you do not need to write the code. You just need to do drag and drop in ADF, but this will generate the code for you. Make sense? So that's how we work with this thing. Now this branch, this particular thing, this thing can be deployed using GitHub Actions and release pipelines or Jenkins, whatever. DevOps engineer can take this particular folder and can deploy these things using environment variables and all those things to different environments. Make sense? Make sense? Make sense? So that's how you just configure CI/CD with your ADF using GitHub or Azure DevOps. This is the same behavior. Even if you are using Azure DevOps, it is same, GitHub same, because this is the data engineering stuff. This is exactly the same. I hope this makes sense. I hope you understood the CI/CD flow, how we just make the changes and all. Make sense? Very good. Now I want to show you one more development, which I kept for the last. Why? Because I wanted to show you that development using the branch. So now, last but not the least, we need to learn about something called as absurd or basically delta format. So the thing is, whenever we just work with, let's say, real-time data, sometimes we have to work with delta format or basically open table format. What is delta format? If you do not know about delta format, bro, Delta Lake is the future. If you want to learn about Delta Lake, I have dedicatedly created a YouTube video. You can simply search Delta Lake full course, Ansh Lamba. Okay, and this is the video Delta Lake database. You can even watch this video or Delta Lake 4.0. This is the most updated version of Delta Lake, so it's up to you if you just want to watch the most updated version. So this 4 hours, basically 3 hours video is like the complete guide that you need for understanding Delta Lake. you will become a pro Delta Lake developer, trust me, and you should watch that video. It's my personal recommendation. Okay, like not that video, my personal recommendation is to learn Delta Lake. That's it. That's my personal recommendation. If you want to watch my video, most welcome. If you want to watch anything else, you can. If you want to read any book, you can. Just go for it. My recommendation is just to tell you that, hey, just learn about Delta Lake, because Delta Lake is the future. Make sense? Very good. So now we need to just work with, let's say, Delta Lake, and it will be a very quick section where we'll be just talking about Delta Lake, because it will just give you a strong fundamental knowledge. So the thing is, let's say you want to copy the data. Let's create a pipeline. Okay, and it will be called as Delta Lake. Okay, perfect. Delta Lake. Let's say I want to move the data, okay, from let's say I want to move the data from trigger. We do not have anything, but we can upload the file. Okay, let's say, let me just upload the file, any file, because this is just a demo, or we can just, let's say, create a new folder. I will simply say delta source. Okay, let me just upload a file, and I will upload locations.csv. Okay, so locations.csv is uploaded. Now the task is, I want to write this data into the sync location, obviously, but I do not want to write this data in CSV, in Parquet, in JSON. I want to write this data in the form of Delta Lake. What is the advantage of Delta Lake? You will get to know in that video. Okay, because Delta Lake is the future, and we work with Delta Lake for our silver and gold layer. For bronze layer, we just work with Parquet, JSON, CSV, whatever. That's why we use Azure Data Factory a lot with bronze and silver layer, but for curated, we use data flows and your Spark notebooks. Make sense? Very good. So now the task is, I want to use Delta Lake. Okay, so that means I cannot achieve this task using copy activity. Okay, do not need to worry. For that particular thing, we can use something called as data flow. Okay, data flow. So I'll simply say data flow and settings. Do we have any data flow? No. Let's create a new one. So this is my data flow. Okay, and we can even name it, let's say, delta flow. Oh, that's a cool name. So this is the data flow. What it does, basically, it takes your data. Okay, it can transform your data as well, because that is why it is called data flow, and it can write your data in the Delta Lake format. Make sense? Very simple. Let me just tell you, behind the scenes, this drag and drop feature is running PySpark code. Okay, so this is, you can say, low no code feature available for those who do not want to write the PySpark code but still want to use almost all the functionalities of PySpark. So in this particular scenario section, I will just tell you how you can just load the data, apply some transformations, just fun and easy transformations, and then we will simply write the data in the Delta Lake format. Okay, because we need to also learn about upsert. What is upsert? Upserts are basically a word which consists of two words, update and insert. So what we do, whenever we just want to write our data, let's say this is our end location, we do not want to simply append our data every time, because it can create duplicates, right? So what we do in the end table, we simply search. Let's say this particular source has data 1, 2, 3, and we simply write this data 1, 2, 3. Now next day it has data, let's say 1 and 4 and 5. Yes, we need to insert 4 and 5, but we do not need to insert 1 again. So it will simply update the value for 1. So that's called the concept of upsert. And this is also achievable using Delta Lake feature of data flow. Make sense? Okay, let's try to read this particular thing and just click on add source. Okay, now the source is, let's say, source, and dataset will be, let's pick the dataset as our DS CSV dynamic. Okay, makes sense. Okay, DS CSV dynamic, source options, wildcard paths, and if I just go to, first of all, you need to turn this on, data flow debug. Basically, this is a cluster that transforms our data, and in order to debug our data, we have to turn it on. Okay, so simply turn it on, and time to live is just, let's say, 1 hour, and click on OK. It will take some time, so it's fine. And we can even click on debug settings. And if you go to parameters, you go to source, you will see the parameters that we need to pass. So it is source. Then we have, I think the source folder name is delta source. And this is locations.csv. Make sense? Okay, click on save. So now we will just wait for this cluster to be up and running. And once we have that, we will be able to see the data. Make sense? Okay, very, very good. Very, very good. And we have, by the way, some cool features available with this data flow. First of all, you can just feel like, hey, when should we use copy activity? When should we use data flow? So basically the thing is, whenever you just want to build your bronze layer, go with copy activity because it is much more efficient to migrate your data. Once your data is in the bronze layer, when you want to just move your data into the silver layer or gold layer, then you just use data flow. Sorted? Confusion is gone? Very good. Makes sense. Very good. So now this is our data set. Okay. So now we have some amazing features available. What are those? First of all, allow schema drift. What is this? So let's say in your CSV file, you will be having some new schema in future and you want to evolve with it. You can simply check this box called allow schema drift. Okay. And if you want to validate your schema, you can click on validate schema. And obviously you need to just pass the schema, then should not be selected with allow schema drift. Obviously we need to turn it off. That's it. But I do not want to do that. I will simply say allow schema drift. Okay. Then skip line count. If you want to let's say skip any kind of rows and you know, like your upper rows are garbage, you can skip it. Sampling is very, very important. So let's say you are just trying to debug your code, debug your transformations. And if you do not want to use the whole source again and again, you can even provide the sample. Let's say you just want to say, hey, this is my data frame. That's good. But you can just use this sample as a source. Makes sense? Because obviously it is running Spark behind the scenes. So it has much more flexibility. Okay. Then source options, it is fine. Okay. Then projection, just your schema. Okay. It is equivalent to mapping. Then optimize, we have some partitioning available within Spark, which will be very soon gone because we'll be just using liquid clustering instead of partitioning. But yeah, it is fine. Single partition, set partitioning, and all those things. Then inspect, and then data preview. Data preview tab will only be available once we have this up and running. I hope it makes sense. A quick overview of data flows, because data flows are very, very handy. Because first thing, you do not need to write any code, any PySpark code for transformation. Second thing, it is very easy to learn because just drag and drop. I wouldn't say it is no code. I would say it is low code because yes, you need to write some expressions. And if you already know PySpark, it is very easy to write. If you do not know PySpark, it is still easy, but yes, you need to learn those things, like how you can just pass those things. And it is not a big deal. You can simply refer to the documentation for that. Make sense? Okay, good. Then I would say it is handy when you just want to do very little transformations, because sometimes we do not want to apply any transformations. We just need to convert our data format from one to another. Let's say converting Parquet to Delta. In those scenarios, data frame is a good choice because you do not need to write any code. Source to destination, source to destination, source to destination. Simple. And you have already seen that we have even partitioning available, which is optimize. So this is also good. So this is like amazing feature and you can obviously play with it. I will simply give you a small homework. Okay. At the end of this video, you can simply play with all those things. You can apply transformations, and yes, it will simply help you to boost your confidence with data flows as well, because this is amazing. I wouldn't say spend a lot of time in data flow. Reason, because obviously in the world of Microsoft Fabric, data flows are not very handy, but yes, till the time we have Azure frameworks available, and I know this will be there for at least a few years, so you can just learn this thing. Okay, make sense? Because it is good to know. You are not in loss if you learn this. That's the whole concept. See? So now this is done. If I click on data preview, if I say refresh, I will be able to see the data. And this is a cluster, so do not forget to turn it off if you are not using, because this is associated to a cost again, because this is a Spark cluster. It is not very cheap to run, and it is not very, you can say, good thing. It is not a very good thing to just keep it up and running, even if you're not using it. So let's wait for it to return some rows, basically records. and refresh data preview with any changes in the data flow. Sometimes it takes time, especially the initial preview, because it warms up the cluster for us. Okay, data preview. As you can see, this data is here: location ID, city, state, country, and all those things, latitude, longitude, last updated timestamp, and all those things, right? So this is good. Now let's say you want to apply some transformation. Let's apply a very basic transformation. Let's say you want to change this particular column into uppercase. Okay, so simply click on plus button and you will see so many transformation options available. Okay, so I want to apply a derived column. Okay, derived column means whenever you just want to transform your column, or if you just want to, let's say, create a new one. Okay, so you can simply say derived column, and I will simply say upper. What was the column name? Upper state. Okay, let's say upper state. Okay, and let's select the column. The column is this one. So why I'm not able to see the column? Because I have not imported the projection. So you need to import the projection in order to see the columns. Okay, so this is very important. Otherwise the schema will not be transferred into the subsequent activities or basically transformations. Okay, so let's wait. So this is now done. Now I can see the data. So see state. Perfect. Now it is asking me to enter the expression. Simply open expression builder, and here you can simply pick the transformation. I know that there should be a function called upper, and here I can just simply pick the column name state. Save and finish. Now if I just click on data preview, I should see that particular column to be changed into the uppercase. Okay, very simple transformation. I told you, like, we are not just doing anything fancy here, because we are simply trying to learn how we can just convert our data frame from Parquet or CSV or anything to Delta. Okay, so see, it is now changed to uppercase. Very good. Make sense? Make sense? Okay, good. Now let's say I do not want to keep these two columns, latitude and longitude. So for that we have a transformation called select, and here I can simply select the columns that I want to keep. Okay, so I can simply delete these columns, latitude and longitude. Perfect. If I click on data preview, they should not have those particular two columns. And I know you are literally feeling happy, like how easy it is to apply all those transformations. And you know what? All these transformations are actually writing PySpark code behind the scenes. So you can imagine how easy it is now to work with PySpark, even if you do not know how to write code, right? That's the power of it. See, I do not have those two columns. So let's say I'm happy with this particular transformation and I do not want to apply more transformations, and I'm happy with that. Okay, so now comes the main part, how to convert it into Delta. So first of all, I will simply create one transformation. It's called alter row. This is a transformation that you have to apply before writing the data. What is alter row? It is nothing but, let's say you want to alter some rows before writing it. So that is why we have alter row condition. So you can literally say you want to insert if or upsert if or whatever you want to do. I will say upsert if, okay, and enter condition. Now what is the condition? Now condition can be anything. Let's say you just want to insert or basically upsert the data which have value greater than 1 for something, or let's say column equals to state equals to, let's say, Hawaii. So you can just put those conditions. Ansh, Lamba, what if we do not want to apply any condition? We want all the rows. So there's a hack for that. Simply write 1 equals to 1. So this condition is always true, right? So simply pass this condition and this will say, hey, just pass all the records. So if I click on data preview, I will see all the records are having this upsert if condition. Okay. So let's wait, and you will see a little mark like this, see, upsert if, and all the records are there, all the 50 records. Why? Because obviously this condition is true for all. 1 equals to 1. Now comes the part where we want to write the data, and it's called sync activity. See, sync. So this is a sync activity. Okay, sync Delta. So this is very, very important. Now it will ask you to pick the data set. Do you know what? you cannot pick any of the data set. You will say, hey, create one. No, you cannot even create the data set, because for delta format, you have to pick something called as inline data set. Okay, inline data set. Now just click here and you need to pick delta format. Delta. See, now you just need to pick the link service, and you already have the link service. Perfect. Now go to settings. You need to simply provide the path. Simply click on browse and click on sync. And here you can go to, let's say, where should we write? Let's create a new table. Let's say delta sync. Okay. So this is your folder. Compression type, no compression, we do not want to compress. Vacuum, no, we do not need to apply vacuum. Vacuum is just like removing the files physically. So here we need to say allow upsert. Instead of insert, we need to allow upsert. And see, what will be the upsert key, or basically merge key for our data? So the merge key will be location ID, right? Make sense? Make sense? See, you have a source with the primary key, and we have just told you that we do not want to append the data every time because it can create duplicates. We want to simply apply upsert. So if you want to apply upsert, you need to apply merge condition on a key, right? And that key is the primary key, which is the location ID. Make sense? Simple. Partition pruning, we do not have any kind of partitioning strategy, so no partition pruning, and everything is fine. If I click on data preview, I should see everything is fine. If yes, we can run this data flow and we can just make sure like our data is stored in the delta format. And I will even show you by running this whole data flow. And I will even show you by merging basically. Okay, perfect. So this is also perfect. So this is also fine. Okay. So now I can just turn off this particular cluster because I don't want to use it, obviously. So I can save it. Okay. This is saved. Now if I go to Delta Lake, okay, this is the data flow that we have created. Now we can just pass the values. We will simply say source, and folder is, let's say, delta source, and file is locations.csv. Perfect. Perfect. Parameters, we do not want any kind of parameters, so it is also fine. I can say compute size is small because we do not have much data. And logging level none, we do not want any kind of logging. So let's try to debug it. If I click on here, you can even say use data flow debug session. Again, it will turn on a cluster that we do not want. So simply pick use activity runtime. So it will simply use your activity runtime to run this particular data flow, because whatever we have created in data flow, it is not actually running. So we do not have anything in that folder. In order to run this, you have to run this activity. Make sense? Very good. Very good, very good, very good. And everything we are doing is in the main branch. So I will even publish it, and I will just show you that data flow will also be saved in our GitHub repo, basically remote repo. Okay, perfect. So this will take time. This can take time because it first of all runs the cluster, activity integration runtime, and then your transformations. Make sense? Make sense? I hope it makes sense. Okay, okay, okay. And I hope that you loved this particular Data Factory Pro course, because I wanted to just make something like beyond basics and fundamentals, which will take you on a journey, which will help you to crack the interviews, obviously becoming a better ADF developer, all those things. So I thought of just creating this video. And if you literally loved this video, just do let me know in the comment section, because your one comment actually means a lot to me. Okay. You can even share this video with your friends, with your peers, whatever team members you're working with. And you can even share this video on your social platforms. If you found this video helpful and you feel that this video can be helpful, then obviously we should just share this YouTube video with everyone. Make sense? Help others so that someone will help you in future, right? So let's wait. I think it will be done very, very soon. And then we can just push our code in our remote repo. And that's it. This is finally succeeded. Okay, so now let's see the output. If we go to the sync, and if we go to, let's say, delta sync, perfect. So this is our data in the delta format. So if you do not know about this format, this is basically the transaction log that it creates for the delta format, and this is your normal Parquet file. Again, you need to just have Delta knowledge, and don't worry. The good thing is you have the right resource. Feel happy. You do not have knowledge about Delta, it's fine, because there is a moment when you just get the new knowledge, right? The important thing is you should have the right resources. You have the right resources. So just go and check out that video for Delta Lake 4.0. Everything is sorted. Make sense? Very good. Now our last thing, let's click on save. Okay. And let's try to publish this code as well. Make sense? Simply click on publish, and this will publish our code and create the ARM template for us. Makes sense? Okay, perfect. So now it will create ARM template. Perfect. Generating ARM templates. Perfect. Now let's see the things. Let's refresh. Okay. So ADF publish had recent pushes 20 seconds ago, obviously. But if you see here pipeline, you will see one more pipeline, which is your Delta Lake. See, Delta Lake. And here you have that particular data flow. Make sense? Very good. See, data flow. Perfect. So now you have this particular code and you have this ADF publish branch, which can just deploy your code. Okay. And if you just want to highlight this particular project in your GitHub account, you can literally push this code like this, and you can just provide the link to this particular, you can say, GitHub repo. Okay. Like obviously your own GitHub repo. Okay. And the person or any hiring manager can look at this code. And if the person will be knowledgeable enough to understand, he or she can literally go to the pipelines and they can see like what you have actually built. Make sense? And just for the better reference, just for the ones who have not much knowledge, simply add all the things in the README. You can literally provide the screenshots of the pipelines that you have built. Let's say you can take the screenshot here, let's say of ingestion pipeline. You can show it like this, let's say like this. So it will actually add an impact, and just explain each and every activity that what it is doing, and just write it that we have created a dynamic pipeline. You can literally write or basically add the screenshots of these particular expression builders, because this will actually create an impact that this person has written the expression builders, basically expressions in the expression builders in a dynamic way. Make sense? So that's why I'm just putting all of these efforts so that you can just learn, so that you can just grow in your career. Make sense? Very, very good. And just tag me in your post. I will help you to just I will just try to repost or comment or like or react anything. Okay, just try to share this particular YouTube video with everyone in your circle, so that you can actually share the right knowledge which is required. Okay, which is required. So I hope that you loved this particular session. I hope that you loved this particular video. If yes, I'm waiting for a comment, okay, in the comment section, and I'm just waiting for you to hit that subscribe button, and to just hit the like button, and to just hit the share button. And I know that you will do it. I know you. So happy learning. I literally loved this video. While creating this video, I literally loved the activities pipeline that we built. Okay, so I will just see you in the next video that is coming on the screen right now, and happy learning.